What's the deal with the hate on the thumbs up emoji? Is this like an Amazonian thing? You're not allowed to use the thumbs up emoji?
All I can tell you is that if I send you a thumbs up emoji, know that it's dead bodies and burning buildings.
That's not good.
It's not good. If somebody texts me, if somebody's really pissing me off, I will send them a thumbs up. I'll give you an example. I texted my friend a thumbs up emoji the other day, and he called me 5 minutes later. He's like, what's going on? He's like, is everything okay? And I was like, no, man, I love you. And I didn't realize what I'd done. I thought I sent him like a laughy face. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. So every time, like that's something like my dad does. I'm like, yo, I'll meet you at 6. And he's not like, yo, great. Or he's not like, cool. He doesn't heart the message. He just goes, it's just such a,
thumbs up.
Oh, it's
the
such
yellow
a fucking,
thumbs up.
the yellow thumbs up. It's just the middle finger of the new generation, I swear.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my setting got changed in like 2014 to the black thumbs up, and I just have used that ever since.
Well, mine is a white girl. All my emojis are white
They're
girl.
all white girls.
Yes, of course.
You miss them when you're down on the Amazon?
It's just the funniest thing is an upset white girl.
Well, dude, it's great to have you back. This is round 4.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to
It is
think
round
about.
4.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about you and me sitting in my parents' house like 3 years ago.
Yes.
And now you're this international Junglekeeper
Well,
celebrity. But I'm very proud of you.
it all started at the Julian Dorey desk.
There was about 17 years before that of you down in the Amazon.
Yeah, but getting out to the masses, I don't think. I think it's safe to say wouldn't have happened if we didn't sit down. So.
Well, it's cool, and it's a nice part of the history of the podcast for sure, because when I got to go down and visit you in May 2024, that was a really, really special trip for me. Not just because it was like the first trip I'd taken since I started doing the podcast, but literally because I got to see what you do up close. I always knew it was deadly serious. It was even more deadly serious than I could have anticipated. And also you could see the small little ripple effects that happen when someone like you can come north of the equator for a minute, talk to people about what's really happening, and reach people because of the acreage that you're now able to protect down there. So it's amazing to see.
It's been amazing to experience. This week, living through these things, you know, like when they call and said, you know, your book is a New York Times bestseller. I'm like, man, do you know how many years I spent living out of a backpack in the rain? And so like, it's funny because everybody keeps going, dude, congratulations. It's like when you worked this hard, you're like, cool, next thing. And when you know that the forest is going to burn if we don't finish this, it's like there's a feeling when you get these things, like people like, oh, you know, you did the so-and-so show. And I'm like, yeah, great. More acres. You know, I don't for a second forget the reason we're doing this. I'm not, but it has been cool and it has been fun. And we have gone from a few thousand subscribers to almost double that with Junglekeepers, which means people are all over the world seeing this and coming in and saying, we'll help. And I feel like years ago, the thing that people were, you know, the first thing people heard was, oh, an organization that's trying to save the Amazon. And they go, we don't believe in organizations. We're jaded. We think all organizations are crooks. They're stealing. We don't know where our funding's going. And then we started just publishing the funding. This is how we use it. This is what goes to ranger pay. This is what goes to land acquisition. This is what goes to admin. Done. And people can see it. And if you look at all the big orgs that you can name, you can go on nobody realizes you can just go on the IRS website and see exactly how they use their money. 90% of their money goes to advertising and the rest goes to paying their CEOs $500,000 a year.
Yep.
And so we just didn't do that. We're just direct line. And so now I get to go on all these shows and be like, we are the most direct way to protect the Amazon. And nobody can fight me on that because the IRS says it.
Also, he lives on like a wood floor with no running water. Dead ass serious in the jungle. So, you know, if you guys are taking money like other organizations, I don't know where that shit's going, but not to you. So
it's crazy. They make you report down to like the can of tuna. It's crazy.
That's for the best. It really is. As you pointed out, there are so many organizations that take advantage of this, and it's well beyond just CEO pay. They're straight up stealing money. And I understand why people get jaded, especially when we're talking about something that's half a world away. They can't see it every day. Yeah. So you sharing it as aggressively as you do, and then also being transparent with everything that the organization does is really important.
Yeah. And when I look at what and then it drives me crazy when I see people. We had a guy recently he reached out and he goes, "Oh, I just gave money to blank organization. I don't want to start a war." But he said, major organization that we've all heard of. He said, "I just gave money to them." And he goes, "It's driving me crazy. I don't know where my money went." And he's like, and so he called me up. I'd cold call. I'd never spoken to this person in my life. He just said, "I want to be a major donor." I said, "Major donor, okay." Got on the phone with him. He said, "What are you working on right now?" I said, "We have a narco trafficking road coming down from the north of our territory." I said, "We don't have the firepower to stop it. They're going to bulldoze the forest. We also can't protect the land until we own it, until we add it to the reserve." And he said, "Well, how much is the piece of land?" I said, "It's thousands and thousands of acres, but it's 200 grand. And I said, "We just don't have it right now." And I was just telling him, because I was just telling him what we were working on. And he just goes, "I'll write you a check." He sent in the 200 grand. The same week we bought the land. I flew the drone over the land, sent him a picture of just unbroken jungle from horizon to horizon. And I went, "Dude, you just saved millions of animal heartbeats. Thank you." And he went, I mean, he threw a party for his family. He was just like,
just from the drone footage.
Well, I mean, that's all he needed to see. That forest was there because of him. And so it was just, that was cool. And then I got, then these people come out and I get to meet them and it's fun.
No, I've told people, I think the coolest moment I had down there was when you took us all upriver.
Yeah.
There were like 7 of us going upriver. You're like, "You guys want to take a ride? We got to go up. We'll be out for like 20 minutes, then we'll come back. It's a long boat ride." We were like, yeah, let's do it. So you took us up just past where the leaf cutter incident was. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. But you took us up there. We like go up this side embankment. None of us know where we're going. You do, though.
Yeah.
And we get through these trees, and it was actually like a tragic sight. You saw all the barren like trees that had just been freshly knocked down, the pile of sawdust that was I don't even know how many feet.
Now I know where you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know how many feet high that was, but it was at least 15 feet high. And you see these literal like stations where they had this, which I've kept here since then. Fresh tape measures.
Is that from there?
That's from there. Yeah. Wow. Fresh tape measures. I keep this in the studio all the time from all the loggers who had been cutting this down.
That's a logger. This is from that spot.
That's from that spot.
That's wild.
And you could literally still see like smoke billowing off where the fires
scorched earth
had been. Like just their personal fires. And so all of us were speechless when we saw it because you were like, it was actually like well done without trying to be dramatic. It was dramatic because we were like, what the did we just walk into? Yeah. And I climbed on top of the sawdust and I looked out and I saw just all these trees gone. I don't know acreage by eyesight very well, but it was a lot. And then you looked at all of us while we were all just staring at this and said, "What you see here looks like a great loss, but this is actually a huge victory." Yeah. Because as of yesterday at 1 p.m., thanks to many donations from the grassroots around the world and from people like you who support this thing, we now own this area. The loggers are out of here. And yes, this little spot sucks, but they were going to knock down like 100,000 acres back there. And now we're just going to use the wood that they knocked down here to build a new research station right here, put it to good use and protect the rest of this. Let's go. Yep. That was like goosebumps on me. So
yeah. And there's a ranger station there now where we were standing. It's all cleaned up. The forest is regrowing. Again, you're not going to have ancient trees there for a while, but that's fine. There's macaws moving in. And the whole thing with that one was, I think it was a 3,000 acre piece of land. They had deforested like 5 acres, 10 acres maybe. And they had built a road back there and they had a plan to deforest the rest of the 3,000 acres. And then exactly like you said, because all of the individual people that give $5, $10, $100 a month, we were able to just go to them and just go, "How long is it going to take you to log that 3,000 acres? And they're like, "Oh, the next like 3 years, we're going to be working. Next 6 years, probably we'll be working on this." And we just went, "We'll pay you today to leave." And they went, "Yeah." And then they're like stoked. They're like, they're not enemies, they're allies. That's the coolest part is they're like, "Really?" And then once they get to it, they're like, "Great." They're like, we'll show you the cool parts of the land. And it's like, they like the land. They love the land. They're also like, there's big trees. Like, sure you don't want to just cut a few of them? And we're like, we're not in the business. Like, you don't get it.
But you could check. Like, that's the thing. Like, some people out there, there's obviously 2 groups. There's people that are actually evil, and you've talked about that before. But then there's people who are like making a living, and this is who pays them. Yeah. And if you give them an opportunity to join, Team USA or whatever you want to call it, and save the Amazon.
Junglekeepers.
Right. Yeah. Join Junglekeepers is a joke. But, save the Amazon. They'll do it if they can support their families.
And they'll do it happily.
Yeah.
That's the important thing is they're totally happy to do it. They're thankful because they don't have to cut down tree. I mean, it's so dangerous cutting down a 160-foot tree.
Yeah.
That's 4 times the size of this room and watching that thing fall. I mean, one time there's a tree falling and it was going away from me. So I was like, I'm safe. It was my first big tree that I ever saw go down. And I went, I'm safe. And it bent this palm tree down with it until that palm tree snapped and like a 15-foot shard came rotating back towards me. I've never been so scared in my life. And I turned as this 15-foot shard of tree is rotating. It was like Final Destination. I was like, this thing's just going to cut me in half. And I started running. I'd been standing there barefoot and I like started running. And as I'm running, you know, those black spikes, I felt my foot just go, and I felt all the spikes go deep into the arch tissue of my feet. But I had to keep running. I just went, oh, you know, where it's like, it hurts so much that it takes the guts out of you. You feel white and you start shaking. That really hurt.
I'll bet it did.
I've been really hurt.
Yeah. Somehow like you're not this guy like that has the scars literally all over your body. I don't know how. I mean, when I was walking through there, I got scratches I could still see today. I was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I heal like Wolverine, dude. I mean, I have a tiger bite right there and it doesn't
tiger
show.
Bite.
I have a snake bite there. I have a huge crocodile bite right there. I mean, my legs, I almost chopped the kneecap off of my leg last year. And I have the stingray bite, but it's like unfortunate. I actually wish it would be more fun to be like, here's my scars.
Right.
They heal.
They do
heal really well. So at least I have photographic proof of the injury. And then it just vanishes. Maybe it's the tree sap that keeps it.
Yeah, they got a
nice.
sap for that out there.
They got a sap.
What happened with the tiger bite again?
I was holding, it's funny because I actually wrestled with like a 6-month-old, like 200-pound tiger.
Awesome.
And I was like, just, you know, like you do with your dog, smacking him in the face and wrestling with him and taking him down and doing all that. And then they handed me a smaller tiger, like a young tiger, a kitten by all measures. And I was playing with this thing and they were like, hey, the kittens are more dangerous than the big one because the big one knows that like he'll inflict damage by biting you. And they're like, also those baby teeth are so sharp, just like a puppy. They're like, they are so sharp. And I was like, yeah. Like I know what I'm doing. And then it like was playing and it looked me in the eye. It looked me straight in the eye and went, watch this. And it just bit straight through my pinky finger. And I stood up and there was a bunch of junk like wires and stuff hanging out of there. And I went, oh, and I just felt very hot for a second. And I went, I think I'm going to get a drink. And then I woke up in the lap of this man and he was like, you fainted. And I was like, nah, I don't faint. I was like, I'm fine with blood. He goes, you don't faint? He goes, yeah. He goes, why is your phone over there? And he goes, your glasses are over there. He's like, you just yard sailed your shit. He's like, you fell over. And I was like, okay. I was like, that really hurt.
Was it worse than the stingray bite?
No, it didn't hurt at all compared to the stingray bite. The stingray bite was, the only thing I can tell you is like, I've been electrically shocked before. And I think if you took an electrical wire, stripped the rubber off of it, and then intravenously shoved it up your veins and kept going, I think that's what it feels like to be stung by an Amazonian stingray. That's the other thing. People keep being like, oh, I got stung by a stingray at the beach and it was fine. This is not like that. This is a different thing. It's like getting stung by like, you know, a honeybee versus, you know, a giant tarantula hawk, like the wasps. It's a different thing. I didn't know that there was a register for pain like that.
Most people don't think about their mattress until it becomes a problem. You start waking up sore, overheating, or just feeling more tired than you should, and it's hard to tell what changed. That's usually when you realize you gotta upgrade your mattress. And this is where my friends at GhostBed are here to help. GhostBed is a family-run company with more than 20 years of mattress making experience. Their background is in manufacturing, so the focus stays on materials, construction, and long-term durability rather than quick comfort tricks that fade after a year. Every GhostBed mattress is designed to feel the same over time, not just on night one. They use high-quality foams, built-in cooling, and thoughtful design choices that help the mattress keep its shape and support your body where it actually needs it. And GhostBed also keeps their pricing grounded. Their mattresses cost up to 50% less than comparable brands, largely because they don't stack unnecessary markups onto their products. You're paying for how the mattress is built, not how it's advertised. Every mattress also comes with a 101-night sleep trial, an industry-leading warranty, and fast free shipping. Today, as a listener of my podcast, you can take an extra 10% off the top of GhostBed's already great prices by going to ghostbed.com/Julian, that link is in my description below, and using promo code Julian at checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Julian, link in my description below, promo code Julian for an extra 10% off your order. Some exclusions apply. See site for details. How long did it last? Like 3 hours, 4 hours?
It lasted like 5 hours. And so when I got it, I instantly knew. It was also funny because I was filming myself. I was like, oh, let me get a shot of me in the waterfall for blah, blah, blah. And then you see me I'm like, oh God. And then you just go, oh God, it's happening. It's like, there's nothing you can do. It already happened. You can't get away from it. And then even in that moment, I've been so trained to like, no matter what's going on, take footage. Get footage of what's going on. And so I like take out my phone and I'm like, all right, the worst thing ever just happened. The thing I've been scared about, stingray bite. And I'm like, and my friend comes up to me and he goes, there's no time. He's like, it's about to get so much worse. Ooh. And I was like, what do you mean it's going to get worse? It's like, this is the max pain I've ever felt. And he was like, while you can still talk, we got to get you out of here. And I was like, what? I don't remember going from where we were back to the station. And it was like a 20-minute, 30-minute ride. And then it was up the stairs. I do not remember it.
Was Pico driving?
No, Pico wasn't there. And then I remember waking up on the deck of the station in so much pain. And I couldn't even put my foot down. I was trying rolling on my left, rolling on my right. I mean, I literally was like going, is there any, because there's always a fix, right? There's always like a way out. You can always figure out something like, oh, like this hurts. I could take it's like it's inside you and it's traveling up your leg and it's going through your system and it's radiating through your head and your leg feels like it's going to die of necrosis. And then I'm going, how many months? Because the last guy I know that got hit by a stingray, he got hit just like me in the foot. He didn't walk again for 2.5 months. He had a systemic infection. He spent time in the hospital. So like it took him out of the game. So I was sitting there going, like, this is going to be a major part of my year. I just like really lost time. Like, so it wasn't just the pain. It was also the projected pain. And then JJ's nephew went and started scraping a tree with his machete, getting the medicines off of it. And then JJ's brother, William, also started scraping this other tree. And then they went and they packed it together and they made this poultice of medicine and they baked it on the, I had no idea this was going on. I was just laying on my back, sucking Marlboro Reds 2 at a time. I was like, I had my emergency pack, which is just like Oxys and Marlboros. And I was like, get me the emergency. No, I just had the cigs. I did not have the other things. But they took the poultice and they put it on the arch of my foot. And the hot does feel good. That thing that people are correct about. The hot helps denature the venom, like really hot. Like you burn the skin at the expense of denaturing the venom. And then that helps, it drew the venom out. So 3 hours, 4 hours later, I didn't know. The only medication I had was ibuprofen.
Oh,
and I looked up,
nothing.
I had somebody look up how much ibuprofen you could take in a day without harming yourself. And it was like 6,000 mg. So I was like, just like took a pile of them, which instantly put me to sleep. And so I had made it through like 4 hours of pain. And then by the time I was like, I'm just going to take this mountain of blue pills, I woke up at like 9 o'clock at night and I was like, okay, the pain is back down to 10, 1 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10.
Sounds like you got like lucky on the other side of it.
Got very lucky. And because they sucked the venom out.
Yeah.
It didn't get infected. I didn't have necrosis. I didn't have nerve damage. It was indigenous medicine that saved the foot. Otherwise, I'd still be limping. I mean, all my friends that have gotten stung by a stingray, it took them months and months to heal. I was up on my feet the next day. Like walking around gently, like with wearing flip-flops, which for me is like being in a wheelchair.
Right. That's still like...
It's great.
It's amazing that the saps can work like that.
It's amazing the saps can work like that. And it's also amazing to me that they knew in that situation to like... They knew exactly which tree to go to. They were like, we've done this before. This has happened before. They knew which 2 trees to get, how deep to go into the bark. and then how to pack it together, and then they wrap it in a heliconia leaf, and they fry it on a pan. And someone was taking footage of all of this. I don't even know. I don't remember.
I saw a
that
bunch
happened.
of this.
Yeah. I was carried up the stairs by friends. They took such good care of me. That was one of those days where you look around at your friends and you go, "Yo, thank you guys."
Yeah, that's also, by the way, just so people understand, it's not like 5 stairs. You got to walk down like a 1/4-mile road, and then you go up, I think it was, I counted, it was like 105 or 110 steps straight up the side of a hill, and then up the hill more, and they're carrying you on like a wooden plank or something.
Well, I was on the wooden plank on the flats for the stairs. I saw the footage later, but I had arms over people, and I was like 1-footing it. I'm talking. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. But that's still not as bad as. Did you see the video where I fall off the cliff?
No.
All right, that we need to pull up. This is the most insane thing.
How long ago was this?
This was like April. It is the most
we gotta go way back.
Bad decision I've made in a long time. I was
How
driving.
How did I miss that, Paul?
I don't know, but it just says big fall on the front of it, and it's like a 60-foot fall.
Yeah, you're still in January, Deef. He posts a lot. So Deef will get it. But you start explaining, then we'll go.
No, we're going down the river. And there's like this new avalanche on the river. So it was like this whole chunk of the river that had come down. It was exposed clay. And then so there's roots coming off the top. And it doesn't look that high. And I go, like, it looks like it's like soft. I'm like, I got this. I can get up this. And I was like, Stefan, I'm going up. And he was like, you got this. Yeah, check this out. So I
all right.
Just play that shit.
Oh no.
No. So this is it. So look, I'm going and I like Yes. Very good, right? And I'm like, okay.
Oh, you're like all the way up it. Oh my God. But you see,
this is like 65 feet straight up. And now I got to get up the last bit, but the land kept falling away.
Come on.
So I'm pure on arm strength. I actually got a hand over.
Oh, he fell.
I just go flying down the mountain. And look, Stefan's filming. Look, whack.
Oh, you sick fuck. Woo! Get the fuck out of here.
I'm good.
I'm not. I had bruised ribs. I couldn't sleep for 2 months. I mean, at the moment it feels good. Yeah. And then, they say it's going to hurt in the morning. That if I just went a little bit farther, though, there's all sticks facing me, I would have just been impaled. The fact that whole fall happened, and look, it's the first, you don't realize, but that top bit is 20 feet, right? So I fell vertically 20 feet and landed on my ribs.
Yeah, look how small you can see it.
He's so small. So watch, and then when I go, this is from far away. You can barely see you just see the impacts. But watch, when the first fall right there, whack, that just landing on the left side ribs was brutal. I really thought I was dead. I really thought as I was falling, I was like, okay, this is the 9th life. I was like, this one's it.
I've never been able to figure out if you're a shining example of being anti-Darwinism or pro-Darwinism. Because, like, in a lot of ways, you do everything to kill yourself, which says, like, that's going to be Darwinism working.
Yeah.
And then in a lot of ways, it's like you're going to survive because you're unbreakable. And it's like, therefore, I can do everything that everyone else can. So fuck Charles Darwin.
Yeah, I don't even go there. That's like, I do it. I don't do that. That's like asking the tightrope walker, like, do you worry about falling? It's like, no. It's like, if it looks fun, you do it.
Do you feel fear?
I feel fear of not those things, though. Like in that moment, I was like, this is awesome. It was all awesome. Oh shit. And then it was awesome again, So like, I feel fear about like ideas. Fear is like, the idea of being paralyzed or the idea of having to do more math homework at some point. I still have like back to school dreams. I really hated
fear.
school.
That's like that's a stress.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, do you ever, and we'll get to some of the other stuff later about tribes and things like that, but do you ever have even if it's just a moment where you're preparing for something you're going to do. Could be something normal-ish out in the jungle that has some stakes to it, where you're like, oh shit, I might not come back from this. And that actual, like, quote unquote, gift of fear sets in.
Yeah. I like that feeling though.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being a kid and the light switch for the basement was in the basement, not at the top of the stairs where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to like run down the stairs and flip on the switch, or else like the darkness would get you. And I remember being very like 4 or 5 years old and being very scared of that. But I'd also be like, this is fun. And as an adult, you don't get that much until you're poised over a crocodile and you're like, okay, when I drop, I'm going to grab this thing by the neck and it's going to be teeth and power. And if I mess up and it grabs a finger, it is going to twist that finger off of my body so quickly, or my hand, that I will, this is an irreversible moment. So once I start falling forward and grab, whatever happens next is up to the writers of reality. And so it's like that, at that moment I go, oh shit. And I feel that fear. But again, that's a good fear. Or the moment that you're high up on a tree branch, and I was up on one of those millennium trees in the top, skyscraper. You can't even see the ground. And this camera guy is flying the drone. And he goes, dude, it would be epic. He's on a radio. I can't even hear him from the ground. He's on a radio and he beeps in. And he's like, dude, it'd be awesome if you stood on that branch. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I like stand up on the branch and try to like look like something. And then like a bee flew by my head and I was like, what? And like almost just fell 70 feet. I had a rope on, but I heard it was the same thing, that shot they show of Alex Honnold where he has his back to El Cap.
Oh, dude.
I think this is the story I heard. I do not know this for sure, but I heard that the photographers were like, dude, it would be epic if you put your back to the wall. And he was like, and they were like, it's going to make a cover shot. And he was like, you never have your back to the wall in rock climbing. It's just not something you would ever do.
Right.
But yeah.
That guy, though,
he does not feel fear.
Scientists studied his brain.
Yes.
And I think it was correct me in the comments if I fuck this up off memory, but I think it was like they measured his amygdala and it does not register like the same neurofirings.
No, he straight up doesn't have, like he won't start sweating. Mm-mm. Yeah, he'd make a great spy.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
What if he is?
What if he is?
What if he is?
He's just a spy living out of a van and being fronting as a rock climber for years and years and years.
It's just the wrong time to be putting this thought in my head, Paul Rosolie. The Epstein files keep coming out and they're worse and worse.
Oh God. I thought you meant like a normal spy, like government stuff. Okay.
Well, I wasn't saying like, I'm not, yeah. We're not going there with Alex.
Look, I don't know enough about the real world to even go there.
I'm jealous of you for that.
I
love that you're like so checked out from the civilization crumbling that happens when halfway around the world when you're just there in the middle of the Amazon. And hey, I fully understand why. When you're out there, you're just a little speck and the universe is just right around you.
It's very grounding. They say touch grass. It's like, we'll go walk in the jungle.
Fuck yeah.
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 Dude, that was funny. Snoop Dogg reposted a video of me wrestling with an anaconda, and one of the comments were great. But it was like, well, of course, it was all like, this is like the most extreme white people shit I've ever seen. And then the next one was like, bro, you touched enough grass, go home. It was like, that's enough. The comment section was fantastic.
Well, you're like, what I observed is that the reason I kind of asked you about the fear tooth is because I wanted to see if that would ever register with you, and it did not when I was down there. But when I was observing you, like just kind of watching you in your element, you are just hyper present at all times. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like we're not on our phones out there. That's a pretty common type thing. Like unless you're literally shooting a video of content, which that week you weren't really even doing.
No,
you're not connected with that. But it was never like, oh, it's 7 o'clock, we're going to do this thing. It was just like, here we are right now, whatever it is, no matter how small of a thing it was or how like, oh, this is actually like a serious thing. Like when we were looking at new areas where they had taken over illegally and stuff like that, you were just always right there and focused on what was in front of you. And I got to think that that's an environmental, just trained thing that you probably had that, but it got developed like crazy when you moved down to the Amazon.
Yeah, and it's also something that I enjoy and that you can't have unless you have a mission and, necessity. And so when you're doing something, I mean, honestly, it could be something as mundane as washing the dishes where you're like, I got to get this giant thing of dishes done. And it's like you kind of get lost in it for a while and then you're not paying attention. But when you're driving the boat and you're like, oh, there's a heron and there's the skimmers and like, oh, there's that caiman, and you're just kind of observing and taking it in. That's the greatest state of mind you can be in because you're basically happy, or at least you're neutral, and you're taking in information that's relevant to you. Like I'm taking in data on the river, which again is not the important part. It's just you're just driving the boat and you're doing whatever you're doing. And it's like that to me is almost like meditation bliss. And so yeah, walking through the jungle to with the day we went and saw the area that they were coming into. Yes, you're doing something that's hard and you're seeing something that's devastating and you're trying to stop this thing that's very scary, but you're on a mission. And as long as you're on a mission, the human brain is happy. We are mission based. We need to be we need to be fishing, trapping, carrying water, chopping wood, figuring out problems. And I've just found out that as long as I'm on a mission, I'm okay. And it's like when you're sitting there going, what do I do next? And I think that's why everyone's so delirious with like politics and all of like the distraction crap that's on the screens, is because like, first of all, like I feel like 10 years ago, people wouldn't fall for it as quickly. And I feel like in other countries, in the Amazon, I feel like in the South even, people are like, what'd you guys forget? There's what's the song where he goes, you blow up your TV, move to the country, find you Jesus, build you a home. And it's like, I think it's a John Prine song, but it's like, it's such like a feel good song, but it's like, blow up your TV, get out. Because as soon as you disconnect from the screen, I had a hysterical friend not that long ago who was yelling at me saying it was my responsibility to be more outraged.
About what?
I don't know, politics, Nancy Pelosi. I have no idea. And I said, listen, man. I said, did you know that there's only 6,000 cheetahs left on Earth? I said, did you know that there's almost 600 California condors because of conservation efforts? I said, I am so focused on what I have to do. I said, you think when Michael Jordan was at the NBA Finals, did you think he's thinking about anything else? You think he cares? Do you think Mike cared about anything else that didn't have to do with a basketball? No. My life mission is saving this forest. I don't care about anything else. And I believe that saving this forest and fixing the environment is the most important thing that is the defining issue of our time right now. And that if we don't do it, we're the last generation that's going to have a chance to do it. So if I'm on that level of a mission, civilizations rise and fall, why the fuck would I care what some politician said to another politician? It happens every week and it never stops. And the whole tactic is to get you outraged. And I've noticed this even in the microcosm of my own social media. I could post, today we saved 5,000 acres of forest. And like, a small amount of people, 2,000 people will like it. It's great. If I show an elephant getting shot in the face, the most disturbing thing that will ruin your day and make you feel sick and hurt your heart, hundreds of thousands of likes, shares up, like people go nuts. And so I understand why the news does it. It's a ratings machine.
Bleeds, it leads.
It bleeds, it leads. Which also, that's the other thing that is the best. If I literally bleed, like every time I'm bleeding, it does great. But no, distress sells. And so today it's like it's become because of we've never had this type of connectivity before where everyone's on their phones and everyone has a TV. And even when you're not on your phone or your TV, you get into a cab and there's a screen, or you try and fill gas at the thing and there's a screen. And so coming from the jungle, I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, guys, stop it. I'm like, get out of my face. Like, you got to stop at some point. And I just don't know why, but literally, so this distraught friend of mine was saying the world is falling apart and it's never been a worse time and everything is so distressing. I said, well, what's wrong? I said, open your phone. And it was like, the prime minister of the Philippines has been shot in the face. It was like, what's the next thing? A snow leopard has mauled someone in Cambodia. And I was like, what's next? And they were like, in Kentucky, like a building fell over. And I was like, what's next? And I was like, you just heard the bad news from an entire planet.
Yes.
I said, now let's try an experiment.
Yes.
Let's try an experiment. I said, shut your phone. We literally shut off his phone, which he felt very distressed. You could see he was like, well, what do I do? How do I know where to go? What's going to happen next? Shh. None of us had phones growing up. I said, look around you. Are any of the people dying that you can see right now? No. Are the trees on fire? Are the mountains falling over? Are the heavens splitting? No. Is there a race war happening around us right now? Nope. And so it's like you can just walk through the street and all of a sudden everything's okay.
Yep.
I went to my friends have the food truck, the Packalachin, and I went to this Southern music festival called the Rhythm and Roots. And there was every kind of there was the cops, there was black people, white people, Southerners, Northerners, every type of person, purple hair and piercings and everything, everybody. everybody having a good time. Everybody having a good time. The only indication that there was even like a America problem was that they had snipers on every rooftop, which, as a person that comes from a cop family, I was very happy about. I was literally saluting all of them. Thank you for keeping us safe. The last thing we need is a shooter. And if there is, shut them down. But it was like, I almost wanted to write an article about it where I said, wait a second, this is the America I see. What's right in front of me? I'm watching cops sitting next to, you know, people, biker gang people,
right,
sharing, like having ice cream cones next to each other, laughing. Like, this is what's actually happening. It's only when you watch it through the screen that you start going insane. And so, you know, that's why I stay in the jungle.
You know that phrase, death by 1,000 cuts?
Yeah.
We live in a world now where it's death by a cut, right? You can show something anecdotal, one thing, in some place far away from you or whatever, and that anecdote becomes the definition of whatever the thing is. So like, this type of violence is happening in this type of community. Therefore, it happens in all the communities everywhere right now because I'm seeing this and it's so bad. And there's something very unnatural about us having access to that. And like, in my job, part of my job, I do all different topics here, but one of the many lanes we have is we're covering things that are happening. And right now is actually an example of a time with these Epstein files where there should be righteous rage. Like, if you don't waste your time with it, but like, it's awful. There's no other way to put it. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. And it does need to be addressed because they're going to try to cover it up. That said, like, I've always had this thought, like this theory, if you will. I call it the Wawa theory. So you remember back at my parents' house, like, I don't know if I ever did this with you, but usually when I pick people up from the airport, we'd stop by Wawa. Okay. Right. And so I was locked away in the woods for 3 years, like 3.5 years building the podcast. And so I didn't have a lot, like, I would connect with people when they came over the house, and I didn't spend a lot of time like outside the house. So when I'd go to Wawa, this is when I'm seeing a lot of people. Yeah. And during times where social media was flipping out at the highest levels about shit in society, I would literally watch the purple-haired girl hold the door for this 75-year-old dude with the Nam hat. Yes. And they'd probably hate each other from behind a keyboard, but they were cool and smiled and said thank you.
That was incredibly well presented.
Thank you. I've done it before.
That was great. I mean, the purple-haired girl and Nam has that was like you practiced it. That was really good. That's exactly my point. Made more eloquently than I could make it. It's very scrambling coming back and seeing everybody delirious. And I'm like, could you help me save the Amazon? And the other great thing about saving the Amazon is that it's all, nobody disagrees with it. Like everyone needs to breathe air and drink water. And I would think it's like a 99-1 sort of thing where I think everyone wants there to be animals. Like, there's probably some sort of Manson-like guy who's like rubbing feces in his ears and like, he's like, nah, I want them all dead. You know, that's probably that guy. But everyone else is like, theoretically, yes, I want a world where there's polar bears and elephants in the Amazon rainforest. Like, I think that's pretty standard. We can all agree. So, yeah, you know, it's nice because when I welcome people to the treehouse or to the jungle, it's just everybody's a friend.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you. And the other thing is, like, you know, some people are like, dude, you went to the middle of the Amazon. Are you fucking nuts? And I was like, here's the really strange thing. And I don't say this to be like, you know, nonchalant about it, but you can't really explain until you get out there. I felt incredibly safe and natural in the environment at all times. Like, you weren't afraid of an anaconda getting you. You weren't afraid of a jaguar. They want nothing to do with you. The worst things you have to worry about are like a falling tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, also, nobody's going to mug you. You're not going to get hit by a car.
Right.
You know, scaffolding isn't going to fall on you. It's like, it is more safe out there statistically than it is when you're in your house. I mean, I think driving is way more dangerous, but the Amazon just sounds, people just don't want to get bitten by a bullet ant or stung by a stingray. And they don't know that those things aren't everywhere in the Amazon. Just like I went for the first time and I was like, I hope there are snakes on every branch. Walk for 6 hours and not find a snake. And it's like, sometimes when I'm guiding people, I'm like, they want to see a snake and I'm trying to find a snake. Not that easy. And they blend in and they don't want to be seen.
Yeah. You get them on the cameras, though, a lot. You get crazy shit on all the cameras.
We get
Tell people about the
wild.
cameras like you set up, because they're all over the jungle. It was amazing how many you had.
Yeah, so I've been doing camera trap stuff for years and years, which is where you put out the little trail cam with the little memory card, and you put those out there, and so they're watching quietly. And the trick I've learned is make them lower than you think, because a lot of these animals will drop their heads. Like a jag, even if he's tall, they'll drop their head when they're walking. And so you want this face level, so you put it a little bit lower, and you figure out where the animals move. You look at the game trails. You got to do a little bit of thinking like an animal to put these things out. You could just stick it on the side of a trail. It's not as good. You want them coming straight at you. And so I've been monitoring the Amazonian forests with these trail cams for 15 years. And that was like one of the first things I had. Was I put together a compilation of trail cam footage that at the time I was like 20 something, and it won a United Nations award. And it was like, no one could believe that in one spot in the forest, I think I had 2 cameras in this one little clearing, and there was over 2,000 videos of something like 60 species. And it's just this place with all these animals. I called it an unseen world. And that just goes on every single day. Pumas with their babies. For some reason, the mother puma that lives right behind the station, she keeps having twins. Not twins, but she'll have like 2 cubs at a time. And so you see this big mother puma walking out, and then like her son and her daughter are even bigger than she is. And so you just go, whoa, 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 that's a herd of pumas.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like there's a herd of mountain lions walking through the jungle. And then we have, the jags are big, the jags are thick. And you have tapirs, and we have peccary are back now because our forests are recuperating from the logging industry thing that happened in the 90s, the mahogany boom. And so there's just all this wildlife. And if you walk through the forest, you know this, you don't see a thing. All the animals know you're coming. The deer are gone. The peccaries are gone. The jaguar's watching you from somewhere else. The birds are off.
You see footprints.
You see footprints. Yeah. JJ calls it the morning news.
The morning news.
That's how he checks the news report. He goes, let's go see the news. He checks. He's like, oh, the jaguar came here. He's like, oh, the deer went that way. Oh, the jaguar's following the deer. He sees who walked where. But yeah, we have just stacks on stacks of hard drives now of visions into the Amazon, which would at some point be so cool to do like a full-on documentary of look at what's happening in this forest. But now this is only the floor of the forest. You got to think you have a 160-foot canopy. If you really wanted to do it right, if you wanted to do it like planet Earth level, you'd grid the whole thing like a cube. You'd do it like a Rubik's Cube of cameras in every direction. And so you'd get like a 4D model of the 3D model of the whole jungle. So you'd see where the animals are moving and watch them go into their hole and come back out the next day. And that would be cool. That would be super cool. But right now we have the ground level perspective of we see when they cross the trails, and you'll see a puma cross the trail and scent mark a tree. And then you'll see the jaguar cross that same trail and be like, oh, no, my trail.
When you say scent mark a tree, can you explain that to people?
They'll spray urine on the tree. And that
like
is
a dog with a fire hydrant.
Like a dog, yeah. And so with the cats, they use urine and scat to delineate where their ranges are. And so the female jaguars know to stay off where the male jaguars are to keep their cubs away from dangerous males. The pumas, which are, featherweights compared to a jaguar that's thick and tough, they will stay out of the way. And so the jag wins on everything. And of course, all the other animals have great smell. So they know where the cats are and how recently they've been there. And I always say, like, the animals know what we're thinking to a degree, how stressed we are. Like, an animal knows your intention of pose. Like, if you walk, when you're approaching deer, if you kind of keep your eyes this way and use your peripheral vision, and you're like, all right, so the deer is over here, but I'm going to walk over here, and I'm just going to keep my gestures and everything in this direction. It's like the deer will clock that and say, okay, well, you're not interested in me. They know. Right. And then the moment you square up to them, choom, gone. Right. And that goes for birds, mammals, whatever. The only thing that really doesn't react is bears. They don't have a bear will go from walking to charging without a lot of there's no transition period with bears. It's really weird.
There's not really anything you can do from a strategic standpoint.
I mean, you can make noise and be like, hey, bear, don't get out of here. But I'm saying, like, if a cat is interested in you, they'll kind of clock you first. You see them get interested where they're going, okay, you're interesting. Whereas a bear will kind of do this thing where they're like, I'm eating berries, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, they go quick. And so I've been charged by a black bear. And again,
charged by a black bear.
Well, I've done lots of stuff with a black bear, but yeah, I've been charged many times.
Where were you charged by a black bear? In New York?
In New York. They're all over the place. But I mean, like I was walking.
What'd you do? Tackle it?
Well, I was, I had her around the neck, and no, I was walking. I was walking on this trail. And she was walking on another trail, and so we came sort of like face to face on a V. And so she came and I came, and then she just lifted her paws in the air and just went boom. And
did she do like
she didn't stand up. It wasn't that dramatic. No. But she just lifted her paws up and went boom, and just a big exhale. And I went, okay, I see you. I was like, cool enough. And it wasn't a charge. It was just a back off. I was like, I didn't mean to come that close.
Did you have the machete?
In New York? No, I don't walk around with a machete in New York. But there was one time that I was snowboarding in New York, and there was a black bear that got spooked by kids walking around. So the black bear was running down the mountain through the trees between the lifts. And I heard the people being like, black bear, black bear. And I was already snowboarding. So I snowboarded through the trees. Huh. And for a minute, for like 15 seconds, I got to snowboard next to a fully running black bear. And that was fun. That was cool.
Oh, I wish I had a GoPro.
I wish.
I wish.
Sick. Yeah, no, that was great. I have the video in here, and it's wonderful.
And it's running straight downhill, right? And
yeah.
It's running.
Yeah, and controlled. You know how there's all the trees in between the different things. So yeah, he was just running through the center of that, and I was just like trying to keep up and trying to see where the bear was. And then there's that moment where when you see it, it happens really quick. And you're like, oh, there's the bear. It was a big one because a lot of these New York black bears are not that big. It's like a super diesel raccoon. But then every now and then you get that like refrigerator sized black bear where you're like, oh,
I'm out on that.
You have your food source figured out, and you've been doing it for a long time.
That's when you need the bear spray.
Yeah.
I used to think that worked like bug spray.
Did you spray it on yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that's
Did you really?
No, I did not.
I was going to say because that would sound you'd be really, really messed up.
Yeah.
You'd be in the hospital, I think.
Yeah, I remember my friend Chris back in episode 86 was telling me about using bear spray. I'm like, so you didn't spray it on yourself first? He's like, no, you would fucking die if you did that.
JJ said, what was the story? JJ said that he sprayed, what did he spray on himself? He sprayed something on himself. I can't remember what it was. It was like bear spray or insect repellent or something that he didn't know. He thought it was like deodorant. No, he maced himself. That's what it is.
He maced
himself when he was first guiding. He didn't know what mace was, and somebody left it, and he thought, "Oh, it squirts. I'll just."
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah. To write this book, I had to interview him. Like, I sat him down, and like with your friends, you don't like necessarily podcast interview them. You don't do the deep dive. No. And like with JJ, I mean, we've been friends for 20 years. And I was like, wait, I really need to know, like, how did the whole first part of your life go? And so like I sat down and listened to it, and he went through it. And it was like, I had no idea. I had no idea how hard he had it. I had no idea how raw it was. I just had no idea. And then it made me want to do this with like, why don't we do this with like our parents? Why don't we do this with our friends? You don't even just say like, tell me. You have 4 hours. Download me.
That was the one thing, bro. You had him in town in New York.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We got to do that. I really, JJ and I really.
He'll be back.
He's the fucking man. He's one of those guys, like you would always describe him, and he's kind of like almost this magical figure, like the way you describe him. And you're like, wow. And a lot of times when that happens, if you then meet that person, it's like almost underwhelming because they've been like sold so hard. But it's very hard to explain. When I met him, that dude has some of the most natural, subtle, but like lock-on charisma I have ever seen in my entire life. I was like, whoa, it all makes sense now because like you and him, your interests are the same.
Yeah.
Your personalities are yin and yang though. Yeah. And it's like, this is why this works so well down here.
Yeah. No, it was funny seeing him in Manhattan. He looked up and I went, what do you think? And he just was very, very, very quiet. I think he was overwhelmed on a level where it was like, he was like, no, it's great. He was like, thank you. And like, it was like a lot of like, he would like go lock himself in his hotel room and just be like, I think for them, it actually is too much culture shock. Manhattan.
Sensory overload.
After living in the jungle your whole life, I think they were stoked to see it. I think they were very happy, him and Roy. But I could see it on their faces that like after a few hours, they were like, I mean, you're looking at buildings, like we're used to it, but I mean, even for me, I know how you think of where I live. It's wooden posts with a floor and like an A-frame. That is difficult to build and maintain. And then you look at like 30 Rock.
Yep.
It's kind of beyond so to the jungle mind, it's a little bit overwhelming. I mean there you go. I mean, fuck. That is
It's amazing that man built that.
Yeah.
Right?
And quick. Those things shoot up. Look at that.
Yeah, we're looking at the wallpaper over here on camera 5 for people at home. Shows Manhattan. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be cool though to bring him up here and him get to see like the launch of your book and all the people who are so behind what you guys are doing, like almost, on a mass scale, put a name with the face, right? Yeah.
No, I mean, for years and years, I think he didn't understand, like, he'd be like, when I would leave, he would go, when are you coming back? Why aren't you here doing the work with us? Even if I left for 2 months, he would feel it. And then him being here and seeing us talking to donors, doing interviews, driving around, doing the thing. Yeah, I said, do you understand now? I said, do you understand what I'm doing when I'm here? It's nonstop all day, morning till night. And he went, okay, I get it. And they got to see, I mean, the gala we had, it was just packed with our donors and our friends. And they did a huge tribute to JJ. I mean, without him, none of us would be here. And so you got to see him looking up at the screen. It's hard to read the emotion on his face, but I think it was deep pride and trying to be stoic. But I think it's hard to be stoic when you have a room full of 300 people basically giving you a Lifetime Achievement Award. And that was beautiful to watch. We also brought his son in, and then the craziest part was that after all that, and he's watching me rush to ABC News and NBC News and doing all this stuff, and the book launch at Barnes & Noble was so cool because I told everybody at the start of it, I went, okay, I've given this book talk 1,000,000 times. I said, but listen, this is the first time ever that I've stood before people, and I'm going to tell you it. At the end, I was like, I talked about JJ and the book and our time together and the formation of Junglekeepers, and I was like, and he's here. And I got JJ up on stage at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square, and everybody just lost their shit. It was amazing. The people at Barnes & Noble were like trying to calm us down. They're like, you have to stop. They're like, enough. No more questions. No more. There was hundreds of people. It was like a riot. It was so much fun.
That's got to be so cool, man.
That was cool.
Because like, when we're talking about the Amazon, obviously you and I have talked on episode 124, 192, and 193 in the past. But for people who maybe are hearing you for the first time or hearing about it for the first time, we are talking about, I think, maybe the most magnificent place on earth, a place that's 2.7 million square miles, which the entire United States is like 3.1 million. So it's almost that size. And according to the stats, it provides over 20% of the world's oxygen. So it's this incredible, incredible place that also balances our ecosystem around the world. And you've done an amazing job explaining like some of the science behind that and how it relates to other continents in the past. But you guys have built an amazing like portfolio, if you will. It's a bad way to put it, but of 110, 120, 130,000 acres
130, yeah,
that you're protecting. And I think when we started, you were at like 30 or 40, something like that.
Something below 50. Because remember, I was excited when we got to 55.
Yeah, that was after the podcast, the first one back in the day. So like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do you ever get overwhelmed at the scope that is out of your control that needs to be saved? Like, it's amazing that you're at 150,000 acres. But
out of the millions of square miles.
Does that ever overwhelm you?
For a second, yeah. But again, that's no way to fight a war. You worry about the hill that you're taking. You don't, that's it. Again, you focus on this shot.
Right.
That's it. If you start worrying about every game that's ever going to happen anywhere ever in your whole life, then that's you're just going to scramble your brains. And so we are focused on one thing right here, fixing this problem, saving the wildest place on earth. And if we can do that, then it's a blueprint that we can use to save rivers in the Congo and New Guinea and all over the world. And the model of that it's grassroots, that it's from the people, that it's people all over the world giving $5, $10, $100 a month for the price of a coffee from Starbucks once a month. Enough people doing that, we're saving the Amazon rainforest.
That's right.
And that's what's so cool about, and that's what is very satisfying about the book, is that it's telling people how we formed it. Because I think at this point, people see me and they go, oh, he's a conservationist. He saves the rainforest. Yeah, but at some point, I was just a little kid.
That's right.
And I had a dream. And it took 17 years of living out of a backpack in the rain, getting infections, getting stung by stingrays, having no idea if we were going to make anything work. And then now, as the director of a major organization that is the most direct way of saving the Amazon rainforest, it is my responsibility to give a hand up to the kids that are coming in the next generation, because it's exactly what people like Jane did for me.
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall just changed my whole life. Yeah.
I know that she was important to you, but she was an amazing woman, lived an amazing life, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, when I was a kid, she was sort of like a living historical figure. Like you knew she was out there somewhere, but it was kind of a theoretical certainty, like the molten core of the earth, or the fact that there's millions of galaxies. It's like, sure, Jane Goodall exists somewhere. Didn't seem real, because it was like there'd be like black and white photos of her, and there's books, and so she seemed mythical. And then there's a scene in the book that I describe where it's like where I sat down with her and showed her the plan for Junglekeepers, and she showed me the plan that she was thinking of in Africa, and how she planned on saving chimps and saving this ecosystem. And
what
she
did
was
that
asking
look
me,
like? What did her plan look like to do that?
Acres. Everyone just we need acres. We need to protect acres. Humans are spreading like a cancer all over the planet, and we have to stop that spread. We have to keep at least half the Earth as ecosystems, so that we still have clean air and fresh water and all this other stuff, functioning ocean fisheries.
Yeah.
And she's very aware of that, and that was her whole message. First of all, that we're the last generation that's going to have the chance to do it. Second of all, hope. And third of all, that the children are going to be the ones that you need to inspire, because the adults are already out there doing it. They're already the ones working the backhoes, selling off their land, turning it into a development. It's like the children are the ones where you're going to reach them and go, wait, don't you care? Isn't a stream more important than your portfolio? Isn't a stream for all of us more important than any one person making money off of it? And so she knew that, but it was beyond surreal to sit next to this living legend and, drink whiskey and talk about how we're going to save the Amazon. And she was very deliberate with going, if I give you the words, if I give you my endorsement for your book, she said, I love the book, but as Jane Goodall, she said, if I give you this, she said, I want acres. She said, you're going to protect acres. And so she was giving me the Excalibur sword and going, you can do this, but I understand that I'm going to redirect the entire narrative of your life. And without her, there'd be no Mother of God. Without Mother of God, there'd be no Junglekeepers. Without Junglekeepers, there'd be no Dax. There'd be none of this stuff would have happened. There'd be no acres. And so she literally changed the course of my life, because she took the time to read some chapters that I had written at the time, where I was not an author. I was just a student.
But Mother of God was a fucking unbelievable book, bro. I mean, like, holy shit, man.
It's wild.
It's a wild book.
Wild.
But like the writing in that book.
Yeah.
I don't know how you taught yourself, but it is beautiful prose, man.
Thank you. No, I just had to read it. I just got to do the audiobook for it. I had to fight for years to be able to do it.
For Mother of God.
Yeah, they didn't let me do it when I was a kid, because they were like, you're a nobody. We're going to have a voice actor do it.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah. And then now
you're Paul Rosolie.
Now all of a sudden you go back and you go, Audible, I want to record my own book. And they go, oh, sure. I also took screenshots of like 700 people that went, I bought your audiobook and I hate that you're not reading it. I came into you from podcasts. Why are you not reading your book? Just push all those chips over and be like, Audible, now what? And then they were like, all right, fine. You can read your own book. Yeah. And so I had to reread Mother of God, which I haven't looked at Mother of God. You don't. Once you write a book, you don't go back and look at it in 12. What has it been? 12 years?
2014 it came out, right?
Yeah. And I was like, bro. Who let this kid do this stuff? Like the solos and the close calls. And then it triggered back, I think I remember everything. And then it's like, you don't really, that's why I journal so much. You don't really remember everything.
Yeah, you do so much. It's like, how do you even...
Yeah, but I'm saying all of us. I mean, so many days go by where that could be mundane days. I mean, just like the last few days. I mean, I just had a journal entry. It was like I had the most magnificent day. Where it was just like snowing, dogs, family, nothing. But it was like, that's a treasure of a day. No tragedies happened. Right. Everything is going well right now. It's like you journaled that. You know what I mean? Most people journal only, today sucked because of this. She broke up with me, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like most people only panic journal. They like vent to their journal. It's like, write down everything good. Yeah. Today I cooked for an hour with my mom. She's still around. Today I did this with my kid. He learned this for the first time. It's like, you know, just whatever it is. It's like, because then you end up forgetting. Most people, and I have a really good memory. I remember to the day. People go, how the hell do you remember this stuff? And that's just the way my brain works. It's like my camera roll. I have access to everything that ever happened all the time. Yeah. And which is not always a good thing, because then it's very hard for me to get past a grudge. You know, like once somebody
Brooklynite.
Yeah, like once somebody sends you a fucking thumbs up emoji, you remember that shit, you know?
No, I'm looking forward to reading the latest one, because like I read Mother of God after you and I knew each other, so after we had recorded. And I will say, to this day, I've been doing this a long time now. I'm coming up on 6 years. I've talked with a lot of fucking people. You're the best 30 to 60 second storyteller I've ever seen. And I think that's why your writing is unique and works, because you find a way to maximize each page into its own little trinket of, like, if I just open up the book like this, I read like that right there, and I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what else
Interesting.
happened?
The best 30 to 60 second storyteller. I do find I have, as I study stories and storytelling, just like you go, okay, Inglourious Basterds is an incredible movie, and they can take you through a 15-minute conversation and you are riveted the whole time because of the subtext, and you know what's going to happen at the end. It's all going to explode. I have found myself in the presence of individual humans that have started telling a story where I'm going, I am in physical pain. I need you to get to the point. And I mean, I'll own the fact that I am a professional storyteller at this point. And there are times where someone will go, you know, so back when I was living on this street, and then I had a neighbor. What was his name? And like, was it Bob or was it Joe?
Oh, it's the worst.
I'm like, make it up.
Oh my God.
It doesn't. It's completely irrelevant to me. I don't care what his name was. You can call him whatever you want. And they're like, no. I'm gonna get this. Hold on. And you go, okay. And then the story goes on, and then changes directions. And sometimes I you know, like, it's almost like when you get high and like all of a sudden you come back. Yes. You go, whoa, what was I doing? I was like, I thought I went on a whole other trip. What story are you still telling? And it's like, you do have to deliver stakes and then sort of like a punchline to people really quick. Yep. And it's like, when you're catching an anaconda, this is how you can mess it up. This is what happened one time, and then get the fuck out, because people want to respond. And then it's gratuitous of you to continue pontificating upon your story. Oh, yeah. And so some people are so desperate to, you know, oh my God, I was mowing the lawn and like, you know, it hit this thing and like the blade was, and it's like, nobody cares to begin with. And then to keep that story going for a long time. The best storytellers are the ones that are like, dude, I was mowing my lawn, the fucking blade bent. And then like the next thing you know, like all of a sudden I fell over and I was under the car, and it's like, and then you laugh, but you're like 1, 2, 3, done. You got to be as brief as possible. It really is. It really is. And if there's a longer story, you got to like, notice comedians do this a lot, where they'll be like, hang with me, like, trust me on this. You got to like lead people in and be like, there's a reason I'm doing this. In this, I had to do this. There's one part where I don't talk to the reader a whole lot, but with the floating forest and the giant anaconda, I'm like, listen, if you want to throw the book, I said, if you hate this right now and you're thinking this guy's full of shit, none of this is true, and you want to fling the book across the room, I understand. I actually agree with you. Yeah. I said, that's the only story I'm going to tell you where I can't prove it with photos. But everything else, all the huge anacondas, all the tribes, everything else, I said, the pictures are in this insert.
What was that story? The floating forest and an anaconda? I don't think you told that one here before.
Nah, I've 100% told it. And
not on my show.
Yeah, 100%. I remember doing this at your desk, where I jumped on the back of the anaconda and I couldn't touch my fingers because it was so big.
Oh, that one.
100%.
Okay, I remember
100%.
That. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But I had to retell that story in this, because I had to be like, look, it was the discovery of the floating forest that led to the obsession with finding the biggest anacondas. And so I was like, listen, this is because everything else in there, the catching of huge anacondas, the tribes, the solos, the people being shot in the head by arrows, there's all photographic proof of it. Because to me, it's Pixar. It didn't happen. And I think I've told you before. I think I told you this before. My friend came to me and he said, I got attacked by a wild ocelot. And an ocelot is like a dog-sized cat. Yeah. And I said, that doesn't happen. That's not true. He said, no, I climbed a ladder and the ocelot followed me up the ladder. It like bit me on the thigh. And he said, like, as I climbed up the ladder, this wild cat is climbing up the ladder to get me. And then I pushed the ladder and it fell over. And I was like, this is all bullshit. I was like, this isn't even a good story because it's not creative. And he's like, I have the whole thing on camera. And every word of it was true.
It's a fucking deranged ocelot.
Well, I had rabies is what it had.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
he didn't get anything, did he?
He went and got his rabies shots right after that. But because we don't have rabies in the jungle, but you get loggers coming in from other regions and their dogs can be carrying rabies. And then a vampire bat bites the dogs because there's lots of vampire bats in the jungle. Which is if you ever wake up at night and your foot is just touching the mosquito net and they have an anticoagulant in their saliva and they cut you with it's so sharp, their teeth, that they cut you and you don't know it, and then they have an anticoagulant and they lick you.
An anticoagulant?
It makes your blood more water-like. It flows quicker. And so they can just sit there lapping up your blood while you're sleeping. So if your foot touches the mosquito net, you get vampire batted. And of course, the scary thing with getting vampire batted is if that vampire bat, the last animal that it bit, if that had rabies, then you're going to get rabies. And so while you sleep, you could die.
It's a great invitation to join you down the Amazon.
Do you want to hang out?
Yeah. It's cool to hear you look at the perspective, though, of what you were saying a few minutes ago about how you view your jump shot, right? The acres that you protect and what you do, and what you were then getting at, to me, the way I took it is you can use your platform and the results and the transparency of everything you're doing to be the inspiration to the generation that's of new Paul Rosolies from around the world who are genuinely going to want to come in and not just be, tourist trappers and actually do something about it and go to places like the Amazon, or not even just the Amazon, but places around the world. And my buddy, Tommy G, has a great quote where he talks about he can't boil the ocean, but he can boil his pot. Nice. And I always use that.
That's cool.
And that's exactly what you're saying right there. Because if you do that, enough other people are going to grab their fucking pots, come down to the ocean, maybe do something about the temperature of it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Because that's the other thing that a lot of people that are concerned with the environment are so concerned with, is they're concerned with the whole thing. You're never going to, again, worry about the hill that you're taking.
Right.
And again, whether that's worrying about planting indigenous species of plants in your backyard so that the monarchs and the hummingbirds can migrate, great. Whether that's keeping our oceans off the East Coast clean, great. I mean, I was just on the West Coast last week and I got to see elephant seals in Big Sur. I mean, they're just thousands of elephant seals along the coast.
They get huge. They're like 10 feet, right?
The males get up to 16 feet.
16
Can
we pull
feet
them up?
with like, I mean, just the giant trunk coming off of their face. 16 feet, 5,000 pounds. You're talking about like the weight of 20 adult grown men.
Yeah.
They are ridiculously big, but here's the thing. They're a great conservation success story because they were becoming extinct. They were saved. The beaches were saved. When you're out there in like that Big Sur area, there's not even boats in the water. It's just nature. These guys are out there on like the side of the highway. There's the beach right there. Thousands of elephant seals all interacting. And there's a boardwalk and there's like docents. There's like a couple of old men and women who are walking around with like, we are the sea lion protector vests. And they're like, yeah, we come here and they're like, we tell people about the sea lions and how to protect them. And, we pick up any plastic and the sea lions are happy. They're all like having babies. The males are fighting. They're throwing sand up on each other. And then as we're watching the elephant seals, we climbed one of the hills and I see this bird. And it was so big that I went, there is only one thing that could be. I said, I can't believe it because I know there's only like 500 California condors left on Earth. But I'm going, this thing has at least an 8-foot wingspan. It has to be a condor. And sure enough, it was a California condor, which they almost went extinct. I think they went down to 17 individuals or something crazy like that because the lead poisoning from the carcasses that they were eating from hunting kills. They were getting lead poisoning, and DDT was ruining their eggs, just like what was happening to bald eagles. But now we went from below 100 to up to over, I think, over 500. I think just below 600 individuals of the California condor. Bald eagles are back in the Hudson Valley. When I was growing up, you never saw a bald eagle. It was like something that you wished you could see one day. See a bald eagle once every 3 days when I'm home.
I know we were talking about, unfortunately, like if it bleeds, it leads. That's what gets people's attention. But it is also critical to talk about it like when we get W's like this. That's amazing, you know?
Yeah. And there's so many of them, because that's the thing. People come to me now and they go, I'm so distressed. Especially young people. They come to me and they go, I'm so distressed. You know, I'm not eating meat anymore, and I'm not using straws, and I bike to work, and and it's like, bro, pretty soon, I don't wear any clothing that's sourced from plastic or from another part of the world, so I'm locally bred. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to make yourself a teepee, and you're going to have to start, fishing. Yeah, like there's that thing where the guy goes, I used to make music, but then I felt like a sellout, so I wanted to make my own drum beats and not use like a synthesizer. So I bought some drums. And he's like, but then the drums, he's like, I realized I shouldn't be a sellout and I should make my own drums. He's like, so then I started stretching goat skin over the drums and I made my own drums. And he was like, yo, I actually shouldn't be a sellout and do that. So I actually bought my own goats. And then he realized that he'd just been living as a goat herder for a long time and not really making music anymore. So you got to be careful how authentic you want to be.
Yeah, you weren't a part of the Visco Hydro Flask movement to save the turtles. That's not your kind of scene.
The Hydro Flask movement.
I'm not even going to get into it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That and the pervert fellow you keep mentioning. We just keep those off the.
Yeah, no, totally different topic.
I don't want to know.
Below your line.
Yes,
we say
they seem below the bar. Would Madame Jane Goodall care?
Probably not. Yeah, but that's talking about the elephant seals.
Yeah,
do you ever watch on Netflix the Our Planet series?
Yeah.
Oh, they do an amazing job with that.
They're incredible. I just watched one on plants and I was riveted.
Yeah.
They have like a Victoria lily. It's like this plant is going to be 6 feet across. And it's like they show this thing unfolding. And it's so beautifully filmed that you feel like you're watching stuff that couldn't possibly be real. And I was sitting there watching this documentary, and it's almost, what an amazing time we live in, that we can see things that are filmed in such a way that you could never actually see it like that. Like if you went and jumped in a swamp in the Amazon and like opened your eyes, you'd be, that you wouldn't see anything. But they go there and they light it perfectly, and they show you this thing crawling up through the swamp and pushing aside the other lilies and then opening up this giant. It's insane, absolutely insane.
I would love to see you get involved with them doing a series where they go through the whole Amazon and do that. Like I know they've been to the Amazon before, and at least one of the series was something, but like I forget, there was some sort of estimated number you went through, and it's not even educationally possible to even know, but there's a crazy number of species that are completely undiscovered in the Amazon still. Like imagine how many they could discover with their tools alone,
Well, I mean, I can just paint this for you really quickly. So the fact that, and I want to look, actually, could we look that up? That you said, what's the area of the lower 48 states? I want to know that in miles. Because what I understood was that's like 7 million square miles is the... No, it should be 3 million.
I think
should be 3 million.
3.1 is all 50. And then 2.7 or 2.8 is a 48. I could be misremembering that.
I think.
So what is the square mileage of the lower 48 U.S. states?
Yeah, I want to know that, because I think that's 3 something million.
3.1.
There we go.
Okay, and then what is the square mileage of the Amazon, the entire Amazon jungle, right?
I have a feeling it's going to be like 7 million miles squared.
Wait, am I misremembering it then?
I don't know. One of us is.
It's been a while. 2.7.
Oh,
2.7. I got it right.
No. Dyslexia. I said put the 7 before.
Still there.
2.7. So not much smaller than the size of the Amazon basin, includes the river system, encompasses,
Basically, take
roughly
off like
2.3 million square miles.
Take off Washington State and one of the Dakotas, and you got it.
Holy
That's
shit.
the Amazon. That's what I'm saying. Imagine just in our planet where they go, because, how many countries is it in? 16 countries or something like that?
No. It's single digit. It's like 8 or 9.
Okay, either way. And one of them's Brazil, which is fucking enormous.
60% of the Amazon is
right.
in Brazil, yeah.
Right. So you go to all these different places and you discover new species. They're using like fucking 40K cameras too. Like,
I mean, look, I've been at this point, I'm just going to, whatever happens next, I'm going to do it myself. We're going to save the river. We have to save the river. So we have Mother of God. This book is Junglekeeper. And then we're going to have Endgame. 100%. I mean, because that's what we're in now. Once the Narco thing happened, it was like, okay, once we realized the roads, the Narcos, the loggers, the thing, once the tribe came out and said, okay, like, it's like once all of this came to a head, we go, okay, we don't have much longer.
Right.
We have to do this now. The question no longer is, can we save the forest? The question is, can we do it in time? We're racing the chainsaws and the flames and the narco traffickers. We have our proof of concept. We know that what we're doing works. We protected 136,000 acres. We've raised millions of dollars. But now can we repeat that win three times? Right. Get to 300,000 acres, because then the Peruvian government is waiting. They're waiting there with pens. Our lawyers have spoken to the Peruvian government. They said, if you can get the whole basin, we will sign it over into a national park. You just got to do it. And so it's like, that's why I've been telling people, it's like the more that this book gets out there, the more people read the whole struggle that JJ went through, that I went through with meeting Jane, with catching the anacondas, forming Junglekeepers, how we got from point A to this. That's why it's so important, because this explains it with all of it. And what the publisher put, Junglekeeper, what it takes to change the world. When they said that, that's not my subtitle. They were like, we're going to put this subtitle on the book. And I went, that's too heavy. It's like every time somebody goes, hey, you're like today's Steve Irwin. I'm like, no, I'm not. No one's like Steve Irwin. You're not. Steve Irwin is the GOAT, period. And like, thank you for the compliment, but it's too heavy of a compliment to take. You can't take that compliment. And I said, that subtitle, that what it takes to change the world, I said, that's pretty heavy. But I think that my editor had a point in that it doesn't matter that it's saving the jungle. It's the story of, even if you have no idea what the path is, you have no idea where you're going. I mean, when I started, I had no, most people, you go to school and you're going to become a blank. So you go to school for blank. And so it's like, you can go learn a trade or learn a skill, and then you can get a job, and then that job will give you a paycheck, and you'll have medical insurance. And so you have some security, and you can work your way up then. You can pick a field. Whereas with this, all I knew was, I love streams. I love animals. I go to jungle. And then we see smoke on the horizon, and JJ's like, either you help us protect it or you go home. Right. And so there was no linear path. And that's why I had to go and fail against the wall so many times and just eat shit. And then finally somehow, and then actually I got saved by a lot of people. Now I get these messages where people go, how did you know to keep going? I didn't know to keep going. I just at some point, you've invested so much in the narrative that you're in that you can't change because you said so, and because there's nothing. What are you going to do? Start a new career at 30? Like I was just going to like come back to the workforce and be like, sign me up. I need to learn Excel. I'm going to trade in my machetes and skills and the tracking and all the local knowledge I've built up in the Amazon, and just no, absolutely not. And once you come to know the forest and the trees and realize that nobody's going to save them, it's like seeing a sinking school bus with children on it, and it's like there's no one around. You go, well, you can just keep walking your dog, or you can do something about it. And to me, all of those reptiles, amphibians, birds, mammals that are all over those branches, I mean, some of them I've raised myself. There are spider monkeys that I've pulled out of the river. There's toucans that I raised from death's door. And it's like, so I walk through that forest and all my friends are there. I know where the big jaguar is. And I know that caiman that I call Kiara. And I know where Mr. and Mrs. Black Skim are, the two birds that are always on the bend at Big Beach. And it's like, I know all these animals and I know these giant trees. And at this point, we are the only thing, and I say we as in all of the Junglekeepers, everyone that's part of this thing now, which has become this global movement. We are now the only thing keeping that world green. I want to show you this because this is my favorite picture in here. It's my favorite and least favorite picture at the same time, but it's the most important picture. That picture, the half.
The bottom one?
The bottom one.
All right, so people can see it right there on the camera, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can also send you the JPEG of that, but
yeah.
Because that is the line, that is what Junglekeepers, that's land we were able to protect because of people sending in donations and being part of the Junglekeepers team. And the black is just what we didn't have the funding to protect.
Yeah.
Period.
That is
It's far as we didn't get to.
That's
in
an
time.
unbelievable dichotomy, man.
And it's that simple. That is what we're doing. We're keeping the world green. It's that simple. I need to pee.
Okay, we'll be right back. Yeah, I've been reading George R.R. Martin's original books of the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing, bro. Like the creativity you get reading an amazing author like that who's punchy and knows how to show the whole picture. It's like you can't get that anywhere else.
No. And even just anything, a beautiful novel. You feel the moment the magic happens.
Yes.
It's like when you sit down to watch a movie, which never happens anymore. But now I'm going back and watching all the old movies that are good. But when you sit down to watch a movie and it starts and you're in it and you're like kind of in your real life, and then the moment you get lifted off the ground and you're totally in the movie and you're not thinking about performances or camera angles, you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The Joker really is going to win. Like Batman, like, that bike is incredible. It's like when you get lifted up. And with reading, it's the same thing, but it's a very different pathway in your brain. And it's like to sit down. And this is what I can't stand, is I can't stand watching, pass me that. Yeah. I can't stand people watching people do this. They'll open a book.
Yep.
They'll open a book and they'll be like 1, 2, 3.
There it is.
What's this? Oh, that's Katie. Okay, hold on. Great. 1, 2, 3. What did my mom say? Oh my God, that's great. And I watch them do it, and then they go, okay, well, that's enough of that. And they're like, I can't. What are you doing? Put the phone down in another room. Go sit on a nice windowsill or under a tree and read. And make yourself do it. And also, and I hear a lot of people that one of the compliments I get on my books is people go, oh, it was a very easy read. And I agree with them. I like books that I can read easily. One of the great things that makes Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential, so great is that you open the book and he's like, man, in the summer of 92, when I was working in this chop shop, he's like, you wouldn't believe how crazy this guy was. And you're like, this is conversational. And that's great. And when you open Pride and Prejudice, it's a little different, You open some of those you open Dickens. Different time where eloquent verbiage was celebrated, and even the Count of Monte Cristo, those are big, dense pages on an 800-page book.
I never read that.
It'll change your life.
Change my life.
It'll change your life. Only thing is I'll tell you this. The first 300 pages, some of the most incredible shit you've ever seen. Incredible. Like, it means something. It's important. It's like, like how like Lord of the Rings, you're like, it's not just a movie. It's kind of like a mythical Bible. Mm-hmm. The Count of Monte Cristo is the adventure equivalent of that. You're like, he gets sent to jail by his enemies, and then unjustly sentenced to solitary confinement for the rest of his life by his enemies, taken away from his girl and thrown in jail. And you're like, this is unjust. It is horrible. What is going to happen? And the way things play out, it is such an incredible story. The middle 200 pages drags quite a bit. So you get from the most exciting to kind of, and then the end is pretty satisfying. It's kind of like,
did you read that?
High school.
Yeah.
I'm due to read it again. I'm due to read a lot of things again. But it's like I just watched Armageddon again. It's like the same thing. The first half of the movie is incredible. All the different characters coming up. And the last half of the movie is Michael Bay blowing things up. So that's a lot of wind and screaming and sparks, and you're not even sure who's on what spaceship. And it's like, I want to like this movie so much.
You need the slow pans with the do.
Yeah, or like this is But man, they made some good movies back then.
There is something about with books and movies that you watch or listen or read at one point, and then years goes by, and you pick it up again, and you get a different thought from it. Like that. It's funny you say Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. I mean, I owe Deef my thanks on that. I always cited the Lord of the Rings as like this movie that I watched as a kid, like these 3 movies. They were incredible. I respected them. Great actors. Peter Jackson did a great job. Not my kind of thing. Huh. And then I watched it, towards the end of last year. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. This is a whole I didn't get it. Like, whoa. And it reopened the world to me. And I've done that with books too.
Yeah. No, and I mean, also Lord of the Rings, one of the things, I mean, dude, rewatched Dead Poet Society. And it's as simple as you look at Robin Williams talking to them about poetry, and it's like he's so invested in poetry, and it's all about the boys in this school. There's no underhanded political messaging in the movie. They're just telling you a story. It doesn't have a, and so with Lord of the Rings though, there's, you talk about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, almost every character is a monster. And if they're not a monster, then they're at least a bad guy that sometimes is good. And Lord of the Rings is the opposite, where it's like you have a bunch of innocent good people who are on a quest against absolutely black, bad, evil, black and white. It's literally, it's like World War II, easy. And you look at a character like Aragorn or Frodo or Gandalf. I mean, the fact that he's running at the end of the battles, where he's not even necessarily fighting as much as running with his staff and inspiring them with the light and like giving the energy out.
You shall not pass.
And they did that so well. I remember being a little kid and my parents would read to me every night, which is how I ended up being able to be a writer, even though I can barely read. I remember my dad he'd be up at 4 a.m. He'd be a teacher, he'd drive all the way home, and then to put us to bed, they would read to us for an hour. And when we got to that part, to the Balrog part of Lord of the Rings, I remember it was like, because you hear the booms, they're in the mines, and you hear the booms, and there's something big coming, and the orcs are running. And he was like, guys, it's late. I'm really tired. We'll pick up on this tomorrow. And I was like, we will not. I was like, I need to know what's coming right now. And that, of course, becomes the most insane action sequence in literature. It's just the wildest thing on earth. I remember hearing that for the first time and just being, for days, I wasn't okay. It was incredible.
That's another thing I always pick up in our conversations. One thing I think you really seem to have hit I've never met your parents, but the thing you really seem to hit the lottery with is you had parents who understood you.
Yeah.
Right? And supported what you loved and what you wanted to do and, saw the potential in you. That's such a critical thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's that t-shirt that says, my mom says I'm special. My mom sure always did. And they were very, very supportive since the beginning. I was such a weird little kid. Like I had to raise praying mantises and I was obsessed with foxes and I had toy snakes everywhere. And then as soon as I got into like the double digits of 8, like 10 and older, I had real snakes everywhere in my room. And it was like my parents were constantly yelling at me, like, you can't have, it was just the upper limits. They're like, you can't have a reticulated python in your bedroom. Like it went from 2 feet to 14 feet in the span of 18 months. This is not okay. Like it would have these fights and I'd be like, but I love him. And I was just obsessed with that. Or I'd go into the woods and camp by myself at 12 years old because somebody let me watch Legends of the Fall. And I thought that I had to do that with my golden retriever. And I was just like, but they thought it was great. My mom's only critique was that she really wanted me to be an artist. She thought, I am.
You're amazing at drawing shit.
I'm good at drawing shit naturally. Like
yes.
If I ever, I went to art school too for a period, but I don't care. Like I'm happy to be mediocre at it or like a little bit better than the average. It doesn't light me up. Writing lights me up. Falling off of cliffs lights me up. Talking to people about this stuff has in the last month been incredible.
Yeah.
That actually does light me up. Seeing people, we're at the point now where if I go to the airport, someone is going to come up to me. Mm-hmm. And I thought I would hate that because I'm actually weirdly enough an introvert when I'm not on.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you've seen me where I'm like, I don't want
You're not a huge humans guy.
No.
Yeah.
I like the people I like and the rest of them can fuck off. But the great thing is with this, because it's for a reason, everyone that comes up to me has been so positive. People will come up and be like, yo, how's the toucan? And I'm like, what? Or like I was walking through the airport and there was a security guy and he went, move it along. He went, I love what you do, by the way. And I stopped. What did you just say to me? And he went, Junglekeepers. He was like, I love Junglekeepers. I was like, come on. And then the best one was the TSA and I had the steel-toed boots on. TSA agent. And my wife was like, you do not hit a TSA agent. Big black guy. He goes, turn around. He goes, I gotta search you. I said, all right. And he's going up and down my leg. And he goes, I don't want to find any anacondas in these pants. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And
you might have been saying that to anyone.
I went. You got to be kidding me. He goes, "Oh, come on, Jungle Boy." He goes, "I don't want to find any." And I friendly slap him on. The two of us were laughing our asses off. And she was like, "I still don't think you should have slapped him on that." I was like, "It was friendly."
That's
right?
funny as shit.
But he goes, "I better not find any anacondas in these pants."
Yeah, don't touch my third leg, pal. Yeah. Oh my God. But it's good. It's good.
It's always been good natured.
It's
been great.
good to hear that, like, you are appreciating that too, because that's the effect. Like, you're getting people excited about it. That's the biggest thing. It's like when people come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, how can I go down to the Amazon to visit Paul or like see what he does?" I'm like, "Well, you're gonna go through that. Like, they have a whole program for that and everything, but." It's not one or two people, dude. It's all the fucking time.
No, the numbers are wild. And that is what's so important. It's like, okay, so if you do A plus B plus B, if you add up the whole thing, if you, okay, so the wildest place on earth is about to disappear unless we save it. But we found a way to save it because me and JJ met each other, and then we got joined by Mohsen and Stefan and Roy and all these other incredible people. And then we got that message out through Jane and through Mother of God, now through Junglekeeper. And now all these people all over the world, a mother wrote to me, it was like last week, she wrote to me and she said, "My son is severely autistic, like nonverbal autistic. And he says jungle man. And he wants to see your videos because he enjoys the jungle. He likes the feel of the jungle." And she was like, "It causes him so much joy." And it's like, that stuff hits you in the chest. I also got one from, like you get ones where it's like, "Hey, I'm just a kid. I'm from Finland. You're never going to see this. But I want to be a local conservationist, and I'm actually going to go on this expedition in my country to go do this thing with these people." And it's like, they message me and they're like, "I read your book. I saw your podcast with Julian. I saw your this. I saw your that." And they're sharing that they're inspired. And that's incredible. Yeah. And that for me, that also is then a feedback, because then there's times where I go, we're all going to get shot by the narcos, or we've lost a few acres. That's really devastating. And like, you get knocked down on your knees, you get the wind knocked out of you. And it's like, you're on month 7 of being in the jungle, and you forget that the outside world exists. And it just seems like everything is burning and no one is helping. And you get these messages, and it's funny because they always start with, "You're never going to see this. And I know you don't care, but," and I'm like, I do see it and I do care. And
it's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so fucking cool. Well, before the break, you had said something. I want to come back to this, where you were talking about all the different animal characters around you. Like, literally, I say it purposely like that in your environment that some of which you had rescued and raised, but other ones you just pass by all the time, and they know you and you know them. A little bit of a stereotype here, but do you think you have like a fifth and a half sense with animals? Like, there's some sort of understanding on a micro level you have with them that other people just can't do?
No, I think that everyone has some talents that are specific to them. Mm-hmm. And the most obvious I can think of is like Michael Phelps. Like, was Michael Phelps a really good swimmer because, chicken or the egg? Which, by the way, chicken or the egg is stupid.
It's dumb.
Chickens branched off from like the phylogenetic chart millions of years after eggs had already been in use by biology. So it's like,
there were also dinosaurs.
Egg came first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's easy to answer. Let's just shut that one down for good.
Right.
It happened here. Julian Dorey podcast, chicken or the egg. We figured it out.
Throw it in Urban Dictionary.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, did he become a really good swimmer because he had a massive wingspan? Or which way was it? And I think that with me, I have spent my entire life. I mean, my dad, dude, when I used to be 5 years old, my dad he always used to call me Eagle Eyes, because he'd be like, "How did you see that?" We'd be walking, I'd be like, "Look, garter snake," and he'd be like, I didn't see that." And in the jungle, it's just become more and more and more and more amplified. And then when you're guiding for people, it matters. And then when you're trying to survive, it matters. And so you turn that sense up and up and up and up. And again, the first time you play ping pong, you suck at it and the ball goes everywhere. And then you get to the point where you got a good chop shot and you got an overhand, and at this point I have this, also when you're tracking or when you're out in nature, you tend to look at the environment differently. You look at it like it's a TV screen. So you're not focused on any one thing. You're just sort of, and so then irregularities pop out at you. And so if there's branch, loopy branch, snake, matte colored bark, shining scales, snake. It's like you start to, snakes are so hard to see, which is why I'm obsessed with trying to find them. But even as you walk through the forest, I always say the birds will tell you how fast you can walk. The speed at which you can walk is determined by the sound of the forest. And that is because there's moments that you're walking through the forest and the sun is out and there's just spokes of light coming through and all the birds are chirping and there's bees flying around and it's the afternoon and everything's great. And then the jungle, 10 minutes later, all of a sudden it gets a little bit darker and all of a sudden the birds get real quiet and everything changes and it seems like there's not a thing moving. And is that because there's a weather system about to come in? Is that because... And sometimes you go, well, the birds over here are doing fine. It's just the birds over off to my left that have gone quiet. And it's like, well, is that because there's a jaguar walking through the valley right there? And everybody up here is still having a good time. But, you know, sometimes everybody goes quiet and then you start to hear, you're like, it sounds like there's a stampede of freight trains somewhere just over the horizon. And you know that there is a thunderstorm of biblical proportions coming. And so you're standing in the sun still, but everybody's quiet. And in the Amazon, there's individual clouds over different pieces. Just think of this giant field of green. And these clouds are just an individual. It's like motherships and, you know, in Independence Day, they're just over and they dump straight down. So if you're outside of that rain shadow, you're great. If that cloud is moving and just soaking the jungle as it goes, you might be under golf ball size raindrops.
You're giving me PTSD, bro.
Dude, it is, you know, that night.
Yeah.
The leaf cutter at night.
And he goes, oh my God. I'm like, what? I'm like, turn right towards him, but I can't see him. He's like, there are 10 million leaf cutter ants. Julian, you are next. They are right up. He goes, they are right up against your tent. And I'm like, what the fuck? Get him out of there. He's like, Julian, there are too many of them. And I'm like, wait. I left DEET right outside my tent. There's a cannon. Do you see it? He goes, oh yes, the DEET is right here. And I'm like, okay, Dan, I need you to grab that DEET and I need you to spray it right along the edge of my tent. And he goes, okay, I will do that.
You're saving yourself.
So
you can care less.
I'm like, look,
cannot care less
he's
about that.
living. Yeah. I need to live.
Yeah.
He's handling this well. He's a nature videographer. He signed up for this.
Right, you're not.
I'm Julian from fucking New Jersey.
Fair.
And I don't fuck with ants.
You're like, give me that DEET.
So I hear him with the DEET and I'm watching it because now I put my headlamp on in there. So it's lit all right here and I just see a shadow. And I see him go along the edge and he's like, and then he goes, holy shit. And I'm like, what? And he goes, the leafcutter ants are unaffected by the DEET. They are swimming right through. I'm like, fuck!
No way.
Fuck! And at this point, Trevor just finally goes like, like next to me. And I'm like, you think this is funny? We're next! And he's like, no one will ever believe me. This is the funniest shit I've ever heard. This is a South Park episode, bro. And I'm like, I'm glad my misery loves your company because you're about to get eaten right along with me.
Just get the fuck out, though. Why can't you leave your tent?
I'm screaming Paul now. Paul has to be hearing this. I'm like, Paul!
Yeah.
Yeah, but just how quickly everything can change. And so to answer your question, yes, I think I've developed those senses. I think that when it comes to things like elephants, where it's like at first, the first time I met an elephant, I had no idea what I was doing. Again, elephants not in the Amazon. We're moving our conversation over to other parts of the world now. But, you know, you learn, just like with the deer, you learn that as long as you're not looking, they're going to consider you not a threat because you're not paying attention to them. So it comes down to body posture. Just like with a dog, when you go, they know what that means. You know, it's like you get ready, they get ready. And cats are very good at that intention of pose. And so, yeah, you just pick up all these little things. But the thing is, I'm always going to be the student to JJ, who is the master.
Yes. He grew up there.
He grew up there, man. And I mean, I grew up in the woods too, but he grew up without shoes until he was 13. Right. And that's part of what when I interviewed him for the book, he was, you know, he was like, yeah, I didn't have shoes until I was 13. I went, what? I never knew. You never told me that. And he said, yeah, we used to have to walk an hour through the jungle to get to the nearest school in the indigenous community. And like, you know, like the whole trope about like, you know, like my parents said, oh, just, you know, like my walk to school. His walk to school involved jaguars and anacondas. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, when Pico had the tree fall on him, his brother, when JJ's brother Pico had the tree fall on him at 16, they had to sell all the cattle and cut a few trees and use the entire family's savings to save Pico's life. And JJ got left in the jungle at age 14 for 3 weeks. They were like, watch the house. And then the mom took the other brothers and everything. They had to go to school. The dad took Pico to Lima. JJ, as a 14-year-old, was left for 3 weeks in the jungle. He just had a machete. And he was like, every day I would climb this tree and look out over the river and wait for my parents to come back. And every day they wouldn't come. And 3 weeks, picture as a 14-year-old. Everyone in your family's gone. Your brother is broken in half by a tree that fell on his back. The family savings are completely spent. And you're just left in the middle of the Amazon with some chickens for 3 weeks. No shoes. I mean, I just had no idea. I had been friends with him for 20 years and I had no idea. So it was so amazing sitting down. But when I walk through the forest with him, it's almost difficult for me to access how much he knows because I'll go, I don't even know what questions to ask.
Right.
Like he'll stop and he'll pick up a palm nut and he'll be like, which one is this? And I'm like, I don't know. And he'll be like, open it up. And he's like, see, there's grubs inside of this one. I go, how do you know that there's grubs inside of that one? And he's like, you can tell. And then he'll go to a certain tree and he'll go, put your ear against the tree, put your ear against the tree. And there's sound coming from the tree. What's that? You see the bee's nest that's up there. He goes, those bees make the best honey. And I'm like, but again, I didn't hear this. How did you hear it? And he's like, well, you know, when you see this thing, that this vine growing from this tree means this. And it's A plus B equals C. And it's like all the things mean something. So he's not walking through just a mat of green. Yeah. Everything means. So when you hear like Percy Fawcett and they were like, the jungle is a brutal green hell and everything's trying to kill you and there's no food to be found anywhere. Oh, if they had brought JJ, they would have been fine.
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. That was another thing when you talk about JJ, William, Pico, Mario, the whole family. Yeah. There's how many total kids is there? Like 11 or something?
Well, there's 19 brothers, including Alex, who was adopted, and then they've named me Hermano Numero 20.
Okay. So you're number 20.
I'm number 20.
I didn't even know there was that many, but that's wild. But the thing that strikes me about the four that I know is their level of happiness, man.
Yeah.
Their level of just pure bliss. And the best example, I mean, the guy that I just loved was Pico, because you're talking about someone who's literally missing a leg. Mm-hmm. He don't speak a word of English. I don't speak a word of Spanish at this point in my life. And yet there was a human understanding there. And this dude, like watching him work the boat every day with the hand and the one leg like down, which that one leg could probably squat like 300 pounds and he's like 60 years old. It's insane. But like he was just in his element and there was nowhere on earth or no other job or no other thing that he'd rather be doing than that. And it was just like such a perspective grabber because it's like, God damn, all the little shit that we worry about or say, oh, we're unhappy about this or whatever. Look at this fucking guy. What's my excuse?
Well, the only thing with Pico is that he's had such a rough life that when he's driving the boat for us, it's so much easier than being a logger. And it's so much better than being alone. And he enjoys the playfulness of us. He does have that playful spirit. Yes. And so he has the contrast of that he's been through the worst pain, the worst abject poverty. And so when he's working for us, he's like, man, I'm making bank. he's stoked. Yeah. That was the only good thing that happened with the Discovery Channel thing when they came down was like, they said, what does your boat driver get paid a day? And I just went, $100 a day for 6 weeks. And the boat driver gets paid in the Amazon. The boat driver gets paid like $10 a day. So I was like, when I told him, I was like, you're going to be making $100 a day, which is like 360 soles a day for 6 weeks. He looked at me and he went, wow, how is that possible? I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, just if they ask you, just nod.
God damn. Well, we've been putting it off, and I do want to get to it now because I've known for months we're doing this podcast, obviously, and you were doing another podcast before this, so I didn't want to check that out and see what's what. I kind of want to be surprised by it myself. But you and I have had some baseline conversations over the past, like, probably 13, 14 months about the Narcos problem. But to go all the way there, now that you're telling the story and it's public, let's just start at the beginning. These Narcos you speak of, who are they associated with? When did you first notice them? And when did you realize it was going to be an enormous fucking problem?
The Narcos, first of all, in the entire time, basically for the entire trajectory of this book, it's like when I went down to the Amazon, started learning from JJ, we were in deep wilderness. Then we saw the smoke on the horizon and we started protecting it. Then we started turning the loggers and the gold miners into conservation rangers. That was the start of Junglekeepers. But we could do that because JJ could go talk to the loggers and the gold miners, and they were people that like friends of his brothers, friends of his fathers, local people who were just like, my best option is to be a logger. My best option is to be a miner. And we were like, you want a better job? And they were like, sure, but we could go talk to them. And so one of the things we would always do is fly the drone over and just sort of scout and see like how many of them are there, because you do have to be careful, right? It's not without risk. You've been to the edges of some of these clearings. And so on this, about 2 years ago, we saw this huge clearing spring up overnight on the side of the river above the reserve, which was horrifying because we said, wait a second, how did this happen? We thought it was safe. And now this huge clearing, I'm talking about like 6 football fields long, along the edge of the river, which is devastating, burnt to the ground. And so we went up one day and we had JJ, me, some of the staff. We even had donors with us. And I fly the drone up over the canopy and then down into the burnt area. And every time I fly the drone into a deforested area, the loggers do the same thing. The loggers see the drone and then they run into their huts. And they're just like little corrugated steel huts or thatched huts. They will run into the huts because they know the drone has a camera on it. They don't want to be seen. They hide. They ran this time. We flew the drone. It gets down low. People run into the huts, and we passed where the huts were. We had just gone upriver of the huts, and all of a sudden the people come back out with guns. And so I have the drone in the air, and this is like a really nice cinematic drone. So you're talking about a multi-$1,000 drone. And JJ goes, go, as they're running for their boat. So they're not running away. They're coming at us. And so we told the driver, gun it. Thank God we had a 60 horsepower. They had a 40 horsepower. But they're coming behind us, and I have the drone in the air, and we're flying the drone. And again, we have civilians on the boat at this point. Yeah, we have donors. We have people that were coming. God. They wanted to see the land that they had protected. And so down where we do the ecotourism stuff, where the tree house is and like where you stayed, it's safe down there. We're talking about 6 hours upriver, a totally different part of the river. And so now we're all the way up there, and now we can't even go downriver because we're above where the Narcos were camped. And so we're driving upriver. The drone is in the air, and the clients are picking up on it because they're like, hey, this whole Pirates of the Caribbean chase thing, like, what are they going to do if they get to us? And I was like, this happens all the time. They're just mad. They just want to yell at us. And like, you can see them with shotguns. Like, they're not joking. And JJ was like, oh, it's okay. He's like, this happens all the time. And then he looked at me and he was like, not good. We're going as fast as we can, drones in the air. And then, I'm going, okay, this is like a $5,000 drone. We cannot stop. So I raced the drone ahead on the last 2% battery it had. I just found like a tree. There was like, I'll recognize that tree. Just crash the drone, leave it. Forget the drone. We kept driving, and we'd been working with the Peruvian police to try and investigate this area where this huge clearing was.
How helpful is that? You're so deep in the Amazon.
We have been providing them with boats. We have been helping them with gasoline. We have been providing as much support as we can. They don't have the funding, but they have the will to protect. And so we said, look, there's this huge patch of deforestation. We need you up there. And it just so happened that they were up there. We've been working with these guys for weeks, become friends with them. And so as this boat is chasing us and we can't stop, we show up at an outpost where we have police that are friendly to us, that are posted there because of us. We get there and we go, look what's coming upriver. And our friends, the guy Jonathan was running the team that day. We get up there, we shake hands, everybody, they look downriver and you see this narco boat coming upriver straight towards us. And they were like, let's go. They got on the thing, they called back, they got on the Starlink, they called for support. They all put on ski masks, loaded up, got on our boat, and then we turned our boat right around and we drove straight towards them. Because now we're armed to the teeth. Now we outgunned them. And of course, their boat turned around immediately and went downriver. So we got a police escort all the way back down to the station. Great. Now we're getting off the boat. And again, me and JJ kept the whole situation. Even though there was guns and everything, we were like, hey, look, we're just using extra precautions. We're just trying to keep it. We're totally, who wants coffee? Everybody want coffee? Everything's fine. We can't go see the land today, but we could try it another day. Everything's okay. Professional faces all around. And then I shook hands with all the cops, ski masks off now. I said, guys, good job. Get back upriver. You only got another hour or two of daylight. Get back upriver. Get safe. Thank you for saving our asses. And, I shook Jonathan's hand, shook a bunch of other people's hands. And they went up. And then I'm at the station now where the staff is cooking for the clients and we're talking about how to protect the river. And my phone keeps buzzing. I'm like, what? I look at it and it's Stefan again and again and again and again. And I'm like, not now. I'm working right now. I'm like hanging out with everybody.
Stefan is the chair of your board.
Yeah.
Context out there.
And he's like, right now. right now phone. And I pick up. And when the cops got back up to their outpost, they figured the action was over for the day, and they were cleaning themselves in the river, and they didn't necessarily hear it as the boat came around the bend. And then they see a boat coming around the bend, and it's got a driver and it's got another person, and it still didn't seem like a threat. And then right as the boat passed them, somebody popped up with a shotgun and shot Jonathan straight in the fucking chest. So I get the phone call. The man whose hand I just shook, who saved our asses today, is dead. Whoa. So that day we realized everything changed. It had been like 2022, 2023, 2024. It had been like this sense of success and building, and we're going to do this and it's going to be great. And then if it was a movie, it was like this montage of hope and increasing capability. And then with a gunshot, that all ended. All of a sudden we got plunged into danger land where we said, wait a second, what? Like it hadn't even occurred to us that this was possible. And then all of a sudden our friend is gone, just period, gone. And now there's people on the river. And then in the preceding weeks, the police happened to arrest somebody that was on the periphery of this, and they confiscated his cell phone. And his cell phone said, if you find the mierda gringo voladrón, if you find the shithead gringo that flies the drone, or Juan Julio Doran, if you find either of those and you can kill him, we'll reward you. Whoa. So then we had an official hit out on us.
What goes through, now we talked about fear earlier. What goes through your head? Because like these are the worst people in the world. These are traffickers, you know?
These are bad people. Okay. So this is the thing. These are like artisanal cocaine growers, right? So these are people that are out in the middle of nowhere, and they go, well, it's really remote out there. And they're talking to their brother or their cousin or their friend, and they're going, look, if we go out there, we could grow some coke for a few months. You know, we can just cut down some forest. No one will know because in the middle of nowhere, we'll grow some stuff. We'll get a few bags of powder, and then we'll sell it, and it'll be bank for us. And this is the way they think. We'll just do it again next year. And that's their whole business plan, right? So they're desperate too. But in that narco culture is that violent streak where it's like, if we get caught, we're going to go to jail, and we're not going to jail, so we'll shoot you first. And so it's not like the loggers. The loggers, it's kind of like, it's more of an innocent sort of Robin Hood thing. It's like, you catch us, we get fined, we go to jail for 2 weeks, we come out. It's like, it's much more the thing is, the threat level increased, and we didn't realize it. The cops didn't realize it. Nobody realized it. And now we have a dead friend.
And this is the end of 2024?
This is the
beginning of 2025.
This is last year in April, maybe. This is
recent.
So
you called me right after this. I didn't realize that, because that's when you first told me about this.
Yeah,
was like the end of April.
Yeah, and then weeks after that happened, you know, they basically said to me, they said, you got to get out of here. They said, you're way too recognizable. They said, even if we put
Who told you that?
The cops.
The cops.
I mean, then we had to work with the security team. Then we have secure. Now when I'm there, I have a security detail.
To this day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And is it like the Peruvian cops?
Yes. And if I want to buy a banana, I have to be like, everybody up. We're walking to the market. 6 people on either side of me. There's 2 other guys spotting. And so now I've gotten to the point where if I want to go buy a banana, I go, guys, could you just get me a banana? It's easier than going anywhere, because to mobilize a team of people and cars and things. And also, it takes the fun out of going anywhere to be.
That's gotta annoy the fuck out of you.
Not just annoy the fuck out of me, but it's also it's really dark. The idea of that someone's going to come and try to shut you off.
Yes.
And that you might not even see it coming. That's horrifying. That I feel fear for. That is very scary. And that fear was realized on the day that JJ, you know, the way we leave the station, you leave the station by boat, mm-hmm. and then you get to the edge of this road, this logging road, and then you take the logging road back to town. And the logging road meets up with the Trans-Amazon Highway and then goes back to town. And so me and JJ all the time we do it almost every, once a week we go back to town. We take the river down to the logging road. Our car meets us there, and then the car takes us back to the nearest city. And so I had just been told that I couldn't be in Peru anymore, and so I'd come home. And JJ left the station and came down the river and reached the dirt road, where he saw the driver named Percy. Our driver's name is Percy, and he has a Hilux. And so JJ went, oh, you know what? He goes, we should have gone and walked the trail and figured out the thing. He goes, I need one more day in the jungle. Just, He just happened to change his mind. And he said, you know what? Take the garbage back to town. Come back, pick me up tomorrow, and then I'll spend a few days in town. He made a last-minute decision. Percy's driving our pickup truck down the road, and they had downed trees. They had cut some trees across the road, and there was armed men in masks that put guns, pistols in the windows. They pulled him out, and we have tinted back windows. And he said that while he was on his knees, they were like, open the back, get Paul and JJ out. They were fully intending on executing us right there. And then when we weren't in the car, they roughed him up, and they took his wallet, and they took his cell phone, and they had him on the ground with a gun against his head. And they said, where's Paul and JJ? And he said, I have no idea who that is. And they said, don't fuck with us. We know exactly who you are. You know exactly who we are. And they said, just tell them they got lucky today. They're not going to get lucky again. And so he came back shaking. And when that news hit us, then it got really ugly.
How long after April was that?
I don't know. If you know, it was
a month or two?
It was a few weeks later.
Are you worried, though, about them coming to the research station and where you are?
No.
I mean, they know where it is.
No. Also, now at the research station, they would have to have an army to get into the, because we're very well protected now. We have risen to the threat level now. But also, again,
I mean, you don't even have windows there, though, Paul.
Sure, but in order to get there, you have to come through the river, and there's no other way to get there.
Right.
Right.
There's one way in.
There's only one way in. There's no roads. Mm-hmm. You can't walk through the jungle to get there. It's just not. They can't do that. And so at this point, we have a huge security team. We're still bringing tourists and everything. They're not after them. They're after me and JJ. The threat level is upriver, all the way up there.
Right.
And they're just saying, if anybody sees that Italian guy or that one Peruvian, take them out.
Who did the guys specifically who have been doing these things, these narcos, these growers, who do they work for? Like what
That's the
syndicate?
thing. They don't. They're like it's like weed growers in California. It's like they're just doing it on their own, man.
Well, I mean, they work for like the CCP sometimes now.
Well, sure. I don't know what I'm saying, like in the 80s, but like the I don't know what the current situation is. Delete that from the record. I have no idea.
That's all right.
I'm just thinking about some guy in his backyard with some weed plants. I'm saying these people are just like, we'll just grow, and then we'll. So they're saying
and they're growing,
we will grow and sell to people that are real. So they're kind of below. They're not like the cartel. It's not like the Mexican. This isn't Sicario.
But so you don't know who they're selling the coke to?
No, I'm not fucking DEA. Like and that's sort of the problem. Is like we're out there. I'm a artistic writing kid who wants to count butterflies and take pretty pictures. Like I'm not. We were not ready for this, and now they're hunting us, or they were hunting us.
I totally understand that. The difference here is these are people that not only have made explicit threats on your life, they have made attempts on it. Effectively. Yeah. And, I'm not you, but I would want to know, like, are they, obviously it's a bad example because he's not around anymore, but are they working for Pablo Escobar? Are they working for El Chapo? You know what I mean?
Not. Like, we know that from the police. We have a certain amount of intelligence. We know that they're not working directly for anybody, that they are individual groups of people that just think this is a good idea. And so they are artisanal cocaine growers.
What do their grows look like? And you said they're upriver, the grows, like 5-6 hours?
Upriver, or days. Like sometimes
have you put a drone over to see where they're growing?
We have, and then the Peruvian Special Forces has done it. They even like notified the American DEA because it was such a large haul that they got out. But they've also, as far as we know, they've cleared out the threat to the point that there's no narcos left on the river. It was like one, like when you get a wasp nest?
Yeah.
It was like a wasp nest. It's like they came in, they cleared forest. Think about it. You can't just do this anywhere. You have to clear forest. To cut down trees that are 16 feet thick with giant chainsaws, there's a lot of work just to make a field in the middle of nowhere. So they were stuck in that one spot. And so when law enforcement went in, they were able to clear them out, which they did. And so at the moment, the threat level has gone back down because it seems like these guys aren't completely stupid, and they went, oh, this area is protected. The cops are going to keep coming and messing up.
So they've gone somewhere else.
Yes, and so that's the good part is that it was for about a year and a half, it was really bad. And right now, as far as we know, it's not as bad.
Do you know if they're native Peruvians to the jungle itself back there? or did they come in there?
No, these are coming from another part of Peru entirely.
So they could have been like from Puerto Maldonado or something.
Worse, no, they're from a whole other part of the Amazon. They're from like where the Amazon turns into the Andes. They're from
they're from all the way up.
No,
there.
they're from all the way up. They're not from the jungle. They're people. They're people from the countryside, as JJ would say. So they are familiar with the outdoors, but they are not Amazonian natives.
How
they're coming just to use the remoteness, the fact that we are past the edge of human civilization on the planet. They are trying to use how remote it is. The same reason we want to protect it, because these ecosystems are thousands, millions of years old and have never been touched. They're going, well, it's so far past where anybody can get with a boat or a car. It's so inaccessible. We can do this and no one's going to catch us.
Yeah.
But it just so turns out that this is within the area that Junglekeepers is trying to protect. And it just so turns out that they're directly in conflict with the uncontacted tribes. And so the uncontacted tribes and the Narcos, I was speaking to another anthropologist who you should have on the show, Kerry Bowman, his work is incredible.
Set it up.
He does work in another part of the Amazon. And he was saying same problem. This is becoming a problem with these artisanal narcos. And he was saying that these people are so scared. They've come from another part of the Amazon and they come into the deep jungle. And so they don't know what these sounds are. Unlike JJ, they don't know what any of the sounds are. They don't know what any of the medicines are. They don't know what the rules of the game are. And so when they hear that there's these tall painted warriors that have a whole different code, a whole different language that have been out there for centuries, they think of them almost as mythological. Like they have beliefs where they're like, if you even see one, you'll die, which is kind of true, because if they don't like you and you see one, they'll clever girl you from the side with an arrow and you'll have it through your neck by the time you realize what's going on.
How long those bamboo tipped arrows?
7 feet.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, they're huge. And so the Narcos are terrified of the uncontacted tribes, which is in one way good because it keeps the narco activity under control. And also a shotgun in the forest is not as effective as an arrow, because a shotgun's range is less than an arrow's range.
Really?
Of course.
A 7-foot arrow?
Can we look up how far buckshot shoots with any sort of efficacy? Because you shoot buckshot, I want to say like...
He's already got it. Fucking machine.
50 yards.
All right, buckshot
50 yards,
effective
50
range
meters.
is generally considered under 50 yards, with peak effectiveness often cited within 25 to 40. Yeah,
okay,
actually.
now can you look up what is the range of a longbow arrow? An
like,
arrow shot from a longbow.
Do any of your guys have like AR-15s?
No.
No. Okay, a longbow arrow is going to be 200 to 300 yards. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Not even fucking close.
Not even close. And in the jungle where you know buckshot's going to be hitting leaves and vines and twigs and things, to actually shoot, I might get a little bit of you, but I'm not going to, those arrows, if they get you, it's a whole machete going through your body. You ain't going to get up.
Yeah, I remember when we first met before you did the podcast. It was August 2022, and you went down for the fire season.
Yeah.
So I've told the story before, but I texted you maybe like a week and a half to you being in there, and I was up editing one night at like 3 a.m. and you hadn't answered for like 3 days, and then you got to a sat phone or something, and you sent me like, it was like a shuddering, like kind of like 3-paragraph text, like, yeah, we ran into the uncontacted, or so-and-so ran into the uncontacted tribes, took a bamboo through the temple.
Yeah.
He's gone. It's just like...
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I mean it's like the Wild West, but wilder.
Yes.
There's no rules. When you're in untracked Amazonian jungle, there's just the rules are the rules of the rain and the rocks and the teeth. Like it's who's faster, who's got bigger teeth. It's the original rules. It's like caveman times.
And how wide, I'm trying to think, when you're going up Madre de Dios River, the average spots that you're going up, like across the way, how wide is that? 50 meters?
I mean, on our tributary, yeah, I'd say about 50 meters to 80.
Right.
There's certain points where the river is much fatter,
wider.
and then it'll choke down at the turns.
But in range.
100% in range. Oh,
meaning like if you spot them across, pew!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're deadly accurate.
Deadly accurate. I mean, one of my close friends, his father was shot through the stomach, and the way it hit him, it cut him across the stomach, so everything fell out onto the floor. It just perfectly opened him. So in 1 second, he was alive and fine. Arrow went by, and all of his guts fell out onto his feet. And so his son was there with him. And then they started noticing that the animal sounds had been different, and that there was multiple animal sounds coming from multiple directions, and the tribes were talking in animal sounds so that they hadn't noticed. And then the kid ran for it and ended up living. The father, of course, died because there's no way of putting. But he's my friend. I know him. Very nice guy.
All right, back to the Narcos for a second. Do you have did you have an idea of the range of like number that you were dealing with, like how deep they went?
No. At the time that happened, it was very scary. I mean, again, we're running scared on a boat. We're boating as quickly as we can, and then
Afterwards, I mean.
I know.
like
I'm
later.
saying afterwards. Even afterwards, it was like we have to start finding out. You know, we have to go to the police and be like, look, this is now beyond our hands. I mean, we can have rangers going around with boats and reporting to you guys when there's logging, but we have no idea how to deal with this threat.
Right.
You know, so it was really, we had to up everything about our operations. It became a lot more expensive to protect land because we have to do it now with, it's not just protect the land and stick some rangers on it. It's protect the land, stick some rangers, bring security. It's a whole bigger thing now. And so this is horrible with the loggers. It's like sort of, it's, you know, it's like you're running a marathon and you're coming into the last third of the marathon and somebody jumps on your back. It's like, it's just not what you needed right now. This is, and they're trying to stab you in the neck. It's like, it's just not, this is hard enough the way it was. Now that they're hunting us, it has truly become, you know, this was a dangerous job before that. The whirlpools, the falling trees, the vipers, the Amazon itself, the rushing river, now there's angry people that want to kill us out there. And so, and if you look at the numbers of, I mean, again, this is probably a stat that we could pull up, but like how many environmental defenders are shot in the Amazon every year? It's many. This is an ongoing thing where people will stand up for the forest, whether it's local people or people from outside, and then they will kill them.
2024 data in 2024, at least 146 environmental defenders were killed or disappeared globally, with the vast majority of these occurring in Latin America.
Yeah.
There it is.
Like it's an ongoing, they know how it works, because there's usually a figurehead at the top of the organization, like me or JJ. And if you can cut the head off the snake, also if you can devastate enough, if you can cause that shock and awe of letting people see a fucking body, they'll stop, they'll leave.
Also, like what kind of, I know it's in Peru. Peru's a nation. They have laws. But this is so far beyond where the cops or military generally go.
Yeah.
Like are there even laws out there?
I mean,
Technically.
Technically, according to who, you know?
Right.
Again, if me and you are in Alaska and we are 150 miles away from the nearest police station, you know, and we get into a bad argument.
That's
the
what
only
I'm
thing that
saying.
stops us is our own ethical framework. You know, or if we run it, let's rephrase that, because me and you is a bad example. But let's say we ran into a bunch of people and they wanted to rob us. What's going to stop them from doing it? The only thing that's going to stop them from doing it is if we have guns sufficient to fight their guns. That's it. Because if they have more, even if we were loaded with pistols, they have shotguns, they're going to win, period. And so it really comes down to who's got bigger teeth and stronger muscles. It's like the original old school rules. Yeah. And so we're days past. I mean, I'm talking days by boat, where you go drive for a whole day through the jungle. You don't see anybody except for animals. And then you drive for another whole day. And so when you get to those places, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The bad guys have figured out that if they can go out there, nobody can mess with them. And so whereas it used to be, I mean, and Mother of God, I was going on these solos deep into, you know, national parks that only JJ and the indigenous people have access to, and going far, far up. But we knew that there was no people up there. You knew that it was just pristine jungle that had been growing for 30 million years. Now on our river, it's like everything is coming to a head.
Right.
And then recently, this is not like public knowledge, but, you know, someone came back with pictures from way out in the Amazon, and there was a mass grave where apparently the Narcos had rounded up the uncontacted tribes and just shot dozens of them. And so now the Narcos are realizing just kill everybody. And so the thing is, the wildest place on earth now has pressure from the narco traffickers, the loggers, the illegal gold miners. There's roads coming in. We have this diamond. We have this beautiful emerald thing that we're trying to protect that's filled with millions and millions of animal heartbeats. It's the most incredible, interconnected, complex wilderness on earth. And we're begging the world to help us protect it. And the only thing we need is the funding to finish it. We've already shown that we can do it. And so it's just a race against time. Can we beat the bad guys to save the animals? It's basically Avatar.
Can you, Dave, can you just pull up a map of Peru right now with like a topography map so we can see like the green and everything? Do you roughly know the general area where that mass grave was? Because I got some questions about this.
You can ask me questions about it. I can't tell you where it was. I can't point it out on a map on public.
Fair enough. All right. Never mind on that part.
Let's not do that.
That's fine. I'm almost shocked that they found that, because like out here, the mob whacks a guy. They take him to the fucking Meadowlands. They can find those bones and shit, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later if they have to. But you think about out in the Amazon where everything, the jungle literally eats itself.
Yeah.
If someone whacks someone out in the middle of the Amazon, they could leave the body right there. And how long would it even last before it's completely gone?
Not long, but I think that the thing that not like a day, like 2 days,
Right.
and your body's gone. The vultures, the dung beetles, the flies, the maggots, the things. I've seen it. I've watched like a dead porcupine. I've watched a dead tapir, which is almost the same weight as a human, same amount of flesh to digest. And
Bones gone.
tapir went to bones, I would say, in 3 days, like no flesh left on it in the middle of the jungle. And then you give it another week and those bones are gone with the rain and the mycelium get into it.
So why did the Narcos build a mass grave, and how did the bodies stay there long enough to even be discovered?
I think it's the turtle tracks principle. So when people want to eat turtle eggs and you're driving upriver in your boat, the only way to find the turtle eggs is to look for the footprints of the mother turtles. And you can see these little footprints going up the beach to the point where you can see the turtle eggs. And then the only time you're going to find those is when the tracks are fresh. So once it rains, it's wiped. So either you're finding new turtle eggs or you don't find turtle eggs. But you're never going to find turtle eggs and have there be baby turtles in there. They're either fresh, right? And so with the mass grave, I think that what they did was they piled up so many bodies that there were so many vultures flying over that thing. You'd have king vultures, yellow-headed vultures, black-headed vultures. And so some native person probably saw this thing of vultures, tornado of vultures like they've never seen before, and went, I want to know what's over there.
Right.
These native people are so smart. They probably went, I want to know what's over there. And they probably went and invested. That's the only thing I could think of, because it would be so far out. But at the same time, it would cause such a reaction in the forest to have that much material that can be digested. So I don't know anything about it. Somebody very reliable told me that this had happened. But the important thing is this. I mean,
How
the
many
reason
were we talking, Paul?
he said mass graves. So you're talking at least over 20, I would assume. But I'm at this point reaching deep into what I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people keep going, why did you release the footage of the uncontacted tribes? And it's like, because they can't tell their story on a podcast. They can't go to the United Nations. They can't go post social media posts. So either they're going to go extinct and no one's going to know about it, or we get the power to protect their forest and get the narcos out and save all the wildlife, and they continue to live there as long as they want. But in order to protect them, we have to tell their story. And we need the support of people wanting to protect them. Yeah. And so for that, we have to publish what's going on. And that is, most people have gotten that. It's only like, every 100 comments or so, you get somebody that's just like, leave them alone. We are leaving them alone. Yeah. They're coming out of the forest and asking us for help.
Yes. You can't worry about that.
No.
That's you know you're doing the right thing, and you're an expert on it. So I'm not worried about that. What the other thing I keep thinking with the Narcos though is like they're doing this 5-6 hours upriver, obviously growing the stuff and then transporting it out of there. They don't even really need to think about how they smuggle it though, because there's no one out there. They just fucking stick it on the boats, right?
Stick it on the boats.
And you don't know where it ends up. Like you don't know where the boats end up.
I mean, we do. The boats end up on the Trans-Amazon Highway, and then the Trans-Amazon Highway leads all the way to Lima.
Right. Okay, so you don't know who the end.
Right. And there is a police checkpoint on the road, but they stop you and they you know, they do that pointless baggage search thing where they unzip your bag and they look into it and they touch a few things and then they zip your bag. They're too lazy to really search it. And so, I mean, you could have all the cocaine you want in that bag and they're never going to find it. If they had dogs, it would be a little bit more efficient. But again, you're talking about a police force where the people are good. They want to do their jobs more effectively. They don't have the resources. They don't have the training. They don't have the funding. And they're trying the best they can. They also have too much land and too few officers. Same thing with the gold mining. And that you can look up. You can look up Madre de Dios of Peru. If you look up the Madre de Dios of Peru and you zoom in on that on Google Maps, you can like get the maps up. Yeah. And if you look satellite, if it's on satellite, it should be on satellite. I think.
You had to go to open a maps, exactly.
Yeah, and then go to satellite view, so it's the real thing.
Layers on the left?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so see that right above your cursor. See that yellow shit at the bottom? Zoom into that. That's all gold mining.
That's all gold
mining. That's
mining.
all
right
gold
there.
mining. That's hundreds of thousands of acres of gold mining.
Now, you and I in episode 124 talked about that at like the 29, 30-minute mark. So you've talked about this before, but for people who haven't seen that or haven't heard this, like who runs these operations?
Wait, hold on. I literally want to take a picture of, I just want to take a picture of the screen because that's kind of funny. Who runs these organizations?
Yes, like who?
Gold mining mafias. There's mafias of gold miners. So actually some of the security people that I work with the police have worked for, because they don't, you know, security doesn't care where they work for. They've worked for legal miners. There is some legal mining happening, not illegal mining. And this dude was telling me a story where he was working for the legal miners. So these people are working up to their chests in the sludge, pulling the gold out of the soil. They'd already cut the forest, burned the forest, and now they'd irrigated the soil and they're sucking it up and they're using mercury to bind the gold. And they finally get, after weeks of effort, they get this tiny little golf ball sized piece of crap gold. It's not even high quality gold. And now they have to move, this family of artisanal gold miners has to move this gold from here to the city where they can sell it. Now you have this very, very valuable thing concentrated in your hand, and everybody knows you have it because you're a gold miner. So what happens? They get in their car and they start driving. They actually were able to hire security to go with them. And he said, as they're going down this little dirt jungle trail, and there wasn't trees this time, they'd used a parked pickup truck just to block the road. Everybody came out. Everybody started shooting. I said, well, what happened on that day? He said, well, me and my team killed 6 of them, of the attackers. He said, but we only lost 1. He said it was my friend right next to me. He said he got shot and his neck exploded, hit the artery, and he died right there. And so this is all so that these people can get 1 piece of gold to the selling point. They've destroyed acres and acres of a priceless ecosystem. They've risked their lives. And so you have to look into the fact that these people are so desperate. Nobody would do this if they had another option.
You just pointed out though also there's legal and illegal ones. So the legal ones that obviously goes through the Peruvian government, gets permission. Are there guardrails on ecologically what they're allowed to do there?
No, it's very unregulated. And in those areas, they call this La Pampa.
Yeah.
And I've driven up to the gates of that area, and there's gates, and that is where you find your guy with the AK-47.
Right.
That's where you see a guy in sunglasses with a machine gun. And you don't go past there. He won't let you pass there. And there was one time that I got to go into the gold mining areas, and I had Matt Gutman with me from ABC News.
Shout out, Matt.
Yeah. And we got to go. We met these Russian gold miners, and they were Russian gold miners, and they had come and they had legal permits to try, and they were actually trying to make gold mining less environmentally devastating. They were trying to improve upon this, cut it, burn it, suck it all up. And they were like, maybe there's more sustainable way to do this. Maybe. And so we go in there, and we're on like dune buggies going across this wasteland, this sand. It looked like the bottom of the ocean. And this is where the Amazon rainforest used to be. In the distance, there's a sandstorm blowing up. It looked like dune. And we're in these dune buggies with sand all over us. And I'm going, this is where the jungle used to be. This is the apocalypse of nature happening all around us. And we're standing on a dune, watching the sandstorm spread across the land. And the Russian guy comes up to me and goes, you are Paul Rosolie, yes? And I said, how? Yes. And I'm going, how does he know my name? And he goes, they are gold miners and they know your name. And I went, they know my name. He said, that's how I know your name. He said, because I heard them saying your name. He goes, I'm just telling you. They know your name. They know that you raise money to stop them. And he's like, they're all talking about the fact that you're here right now. And he was like, you might want to be careful. And then days or a week later, I don't remember, but I was walking in the city, just like you see there, and on the sidewalk, and a little tuk-tuk pulled up and drove up on the curb, and two guys jumped out and pushed me up against the wall, and they said, no more talk in Spanish. They said, no more talking about gold mining. And there are a few other threats that they were spitting out at me, but at that time I fully thought that was it. Because I was up against the wall, and I said, there's no reason that they can't.
Dave, can you pull up a picture? We've done this before, but I want people to see this. Amazon gold mine wasteland. Let's try that search. Like you've shown me this before, Paul, where it's just totally blown out. And which one do you want, Paul? One on the far right?
Any of these. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. That's where the jungle used to be.
Yeah. And then actually that one you're scrolled over right now, Dave, hit that because you can literally see it where it's cut off.
If you just add
that was all trees.
Yeah. Honestly, just add my name to the end of that search thing right there. And I'm pretty sure my picture will come up. I wonder.
Okay.
I just am curious. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Top result. That's it. That's that day I'm talking about.
That's like the fucking Sahara in the middle of the Amazon.
You can see the sandstorm in the background of that photo. That's just such a horrific picture. And that pipe coming out the front, that's what they use to suck the earth up. It was one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. The complete annihilation of nature on Earth. The devastation of millions of years of evolution to nothing.
And how much is this type of destruction growing? Like, do we know a rate it's growing at, or has it been somewhat contained at this point?
It's been growing, and the problem is that the military is scared to go. The Peruvian law enforcement is scared to go in there now because the miners are more numerous than they are.
What about the military?
I mean, the military can be called in. A few years ago, they came in with helicopters and commandos, and they came in and they blew up a bunch of shit. They arrested everybody, and then they had a few problems. One, they had hundreds and hundreds of people they just arrested, and most of them are artisanal, small scale people. They're not bosses. They don't have anything. So eventually you have to let them go. Next, they just blew up all this mining equipment, and the damage is already done, and half the people ran off into the surrounding jungle. And so within a few weeks, everybody was back at it, doing the gold mining again. And then so you go, well, what do we do? Another huge. But the problem is, if you don't have a better alternative for these people, just like the loggers, if you say stop logging, they're going, I'm not going to stop logging. I got to feed my daughter. I'm not going to stop logging. But if you go, hey, I have a better job for you. You can work as a ranger. We'll give you a T-shirt. We'll give you some binoculars. You can drive a boat, right? And they go, yeah. And they go, well, we're happy. You don't have to run from the law either. Well, then they're happy to do that. But now you have to find a way to replicate that for tens of thousands of people that are destroying this ecosystem because they're desperate and they don't have any money, and they're willing to risk their lives for a couple of nuggets of gold and then try to get that to the place where they can sell it before they get shot. It literally is like the Wild West. And then people are coming with masks on and pistols and taking that gold from them. The poorest people on Earth being robbed by the slightly poorer people on Earth. It's horrible. It's No Country for Old Men. It's just dark.
Above that, like above the level of these mafias.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking about the logging we've talked about in the past, where the funding can be traced back to America, China, different countries around the world. Like enemies are like all doing the same damage and shit, and then all the countries are buying the product that they get there. Do we also see like nation states funding some of the gold mining as well?
Not in this case. I think that most of the logging most of the gold mining that's happening here is such low grade gold that it's not going towards like jewelry. It's not being exported to Europe. Or America. This is like gold you use in like electrical work. It's not. Yeah, this is
all that risk for just that.
What's the most valuable thing out there? But again, these people, there's so much. They could literally, if education was the prevailing or the head of the line out there, these people could learn how to do all kinds of complex agroforestry and actually make products that make them more money and a sustainable living. And they could be exporting Brazil nuts and small amounts of tropical timber and caring for their kids in an environment that's thriving. Whereas this is now a wasteland. Nothing can grow there or will for decades. And so we're fighting this. When I say that we're fighting this existential threat, I mean this for everybody on Earth. It's if 1/5 of our fresh water is contained in the Amazon and 1/5 of our oxygen is coming out of this system, and all of this biodiversity and endangered species and undiscovered medicines and tribal indigenous knowledge is contained in this, we're literally on the cusp of losing it. And so it is this thing that right now, we need people to right now, we need to figure out how to save this river so that we can prove that it can be done again and again and again. And across the Amazon, indigenous territories are the largest, most prevalent way of protecting the Amazon. They're the most effective. Then there's the national park systems, and then there's other things. But it's like we have to also, I think as a country, I think it would be helpful if America was putting pressure on South America or carrot and the stick. You know what I mean? Incentivizing Latin American countries even better.
Yes.
Incentivize them and say, look, we're going to hook you up with trade.
Yes.
We are going to hook you up, but we want to see zero deforestation. Let's help these people to rise out of poverty. And then no one's going to go out and start shooting jaguars and cutting down trees if they have a real job.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you were given control of one of these gold mine wastelands tomorrow, how would you fix this and how long would it take? Obviously, you can't regrow ancient trees in fucking 10 years, but like what could you do to salvage what's happened?
I mean, you would have to talk to a ecosystem restoration expert. I focus in saving primary rainforest and old growth rainforest. I mean, you look at the thick jungle that's on there. I'm about saving this. Once you get down to that level,
it's tough.
That's tough. That's like, how do you bring back a dead body? I mean, that's going to be the mercury contamination that's there. The fact that the sun beating down on that sand is going to prevent anything but maybe grass from growing there. You'd have to find a way of getting some initial cover. You'd have to wait for the pioneer species like Cecropia and Balsa and the grasses to take over there and to begin to build a layer of some sort of soil and topsoil and some shade. Otherwise, it really is just scorched wasteland, and it's not going to grow back.
What is you mentioned the current like national park system out there. What is it? Let's just focus on Peru for a second before going to other countries. What does that even look like at the moment? Because you had said earlier, your threshold for your stuff would be like 300,000 acres. So what do they already have in existence and who runs it?
Oh, it's really good. I mean, in our region, you can look up they have Alto Purus National Park. There's the Tambopata Reserve. There's Manu National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's different indigenous territories. There's something called the Americairi. I always kind of choke on that word. Americairi Indigenous Territorial Reserve. There's the Uncontacted Indigenous Reserve. There's so much that's protected, and then you go up to the north of Peru. There's more area protected, and even Smithsonian published a map where they showed that if we can protect from Ecuador down through Peru, the Andes Amazon interface, that this could be a contiguous protected area that would protect the most biodiversity on Earth. So there's massive amounts of hope out there. It's just that we need more people. We need more action. And that's why this has been so great with the book. Is like, it's like the right time, and it seems like the story is reaching people. And I think the message of the book is understanding that I think a lot of people feel like they individually don't have the capability to do something. And I think that what this proves on a number of levels, whether it's JJ, me, Jane, that you absolutely can. And there's different levels of it. You know, nobody should do what I did. What I did was sort of suicidal.
Suicidal.
Well, I mean, in the sense that like I would never tell anyone to go do what I did. You know, go out on solos for 15 years, live out of your backpack, have no plan B.
Fish with your fucking skin on the bottom of your foot.
Develop crucial life skills like fishing with the bottom of your foot.
That's why there's one Paul Rosolie.
Amen.
Now, what about, you mentioned about 60% of the Amazon is in Brazil.
Yeah.
And there's been all kinds of political shit going on with their government there. What's the current standing of like the job they're doing in protecting the Amazon? Obviously, it's different than where you are. You're in Peru, but how much do you know about that?
It's not great. And the last administration, the Bolsonaro administration, he actually encouraged people to go into the Amazon and settle it. It was like manifest destiny.
Settle it?
Settle it. he said cut roads. He actually provided funding for people to go out, cut roads, deforest, set up farms. It was like he said, we have all this territory in our country that we're just not using. This is unutilized potential that could be having economic output, and an ecosystem just standing there isn't actually putting dollars in our pockets. So he went, get out there, do that. And then, if I'm not wrong, and this is one of those ones of disclaiming, I'm saying that I believe I'm not wrong. He actually said something to the effect of like, get rid of the indigenous people, get rid of the tribes.
What is it? Like kill them? What is
I
that?
saw a
Yeah,
clip
can we
of
pull that up? That's crazy.
Bolsonaro tribes, something. It was
he
something very extreme. It was
He's
something,
referring to all of them, the ones known and the ones uncontacted.
I remember just watching it and going, that is. I mean, people talk about like racism. It's like this is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This was wild.
Bolsonaro wanted to exterminate us, claims indigenous leader Rayoni Metutire. Kayapo chief tells in memoir of seeing former president in his dreams and of warning Lula not to repeat past mistakes. Okay, let's go
but
down.
that's his dreams. I'm saying there's a. I know that I saw a video of Bolsonaro saying something where it's like he's like, we don't need these, like, you know, something very dark.
Okay, I'm trying to see if there's anything that mentions that in here. Can we just Google Bolsonaro quotes on eliminating indigenous tribes? Let's see if that's okay. Jair Bolsonaro has a long history of controversial and widely condemned remarks regarding indigenous tribes in Brazil and advocating for their assimilation, the exploitation of their lands, and expressing admiration for the historical eradication of indigenous population in other countries. A frequently cited quote from a 1998 interview published in 2015-2016 shows him praising the actions of the U.S. cavalry. He stated, "It's a shame that the Brazilian cavalry hasn't been as efficient as the Americans who exterminated the Indians."
There you go. That's a blatant statement. So you have a guy like that who can say that it's unfortunate that we are not able to exterminate indigenous people more than we have. You have that guy running the country that has some of the most sensitive, pristine cultures on earth. And so you think of all the endless miles of smoky jungle and all the toucans and the spider monkeys and the macaws and all the raindrops and leafcutter ants and these complex biological processes, and the fact that everything's interconnected and that the rain in the Amazon is caused by the sum total of all of these interconnections. And then you have China and the World Bank and the IMF and guys like Bolsonaro who just want to make money, and they want to use it as space, and they want to clear aside that. I mean, just imagine if it was a town of people and you said, we're literally going to bulldoze the town with the people in their houses and then burn it. That's what we're facing. And so I live this life where, you know, it's funny when you watch Mission Impossible, right? We had the ancient forest. We found out that there was 10,000 acres of the Amazon rainforest that was going to be bulldozed and chopped down and burned. And we were able to go online. We told the world about it. We found a donor who gave us half of the money we needed. We went to Instagram. The word spread around the world, and we were able to raise $350,000. We protected the ancient forest, saved, right? But that was 2 weeks of like psychotic work and expedition up there, meeting the landowners, using our indigenous wisdom, sending JJ out, talking to the police, signing with the lawyers. Right. I mean, monumental efforts. You get across the finish line, you fall on your face, but you pick your face up and you go, but there's more smoke. It's the next one. So it's like, even if you can ride the motorcycle and jump off the mountain and land it on a train and then parachute down and stop the bomb from going off, but that's great. But then you got to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're only going to get lucky so many times.
It's like
and you
swatting
only have
flies.
It just doesn't stop. And so we've had this, you know, this is the story of win after win after win, but it's like, it's also, there's so many losses. Like the first chapter in here, I'm talking about JJ teaching me how to track.
Also, I looked at the titles of the chapters right before you got here. Fucking sick, bro.
Yeah.
They're sick. Yeah.
The first one is the rivers in our veins. And it's like, that's just when JJ, the early days where JJ would just take me on these little streams in the forest and teach me everything. And then that first stream that we used to explore for years and years and years, that then they burnt it down. And now it's gone.
The
they
stream.
just burnt it down. Settlers came in, took it as a farm. They burnt it down. They planted yucca there for a couple years, and now they're gone. So they ruined the ancient forest that used to be there, killed every single animal that was living in that forest. I mean, this stream used to have, emerald stained glass ceilings and these giant trees and vines going across, and there'd be jaguar tracks on the rivers and clouds of butterflies. It was magical. And they came and they just cut all the trees with chains individually. The amazing deliberateness here. You have to go and cut each tree for it to fall over. That's the other thing people don't realize with the environment, is that if you stop killing it, it will live. It's been there for millions of years. Along the city, Amazon formed 30 to 55 million years ago, millions of years ago. And so this system has been complexifying for millions of years, it existing right there, all the trees. And if you look at some of the millennium trees that stand there, you look at 1,000-year-old tree, you see that tree was there when they were painting the roof of the Sistine Chapel. That tree was there in World War I. That tree was there in World War II. That tree's been there my entire life. It's been this sentinel of the ages, of the centuries, and then they cut it over. So that story's over. And think of how many millions of animals have lived on the branches of that tree over the course of the centuries that it was alive. And now that story's over. And the fact that in another 1,000 years, we may not have a tree like that, because if we break the moisture cycle of the Amazon, we're not going to have an Amazon rainforest. And so it becomes then that every day is mission impossible until we save this ecosystem. And that ecosystem happens to be the size of the lower 48. And we're the last generation in history, because once we cut too much of the Amazon and it can't produce the rain that makes it the Amazon rainforest, then it's going to dry out and become a wasteland. And then you're talking about post-apocalyptic panic on this planet, because everything is going to change, and then our weather is going to go crazy, and it's like you're messing with all the dials. And so the fact that we can protect this, I don't think it's a very big ask. And if you're going to go the Jane Goodall route, the Gandalf route, you go, hey, there's still time to do this. So it's not a big ask. I mean, to protect the rest of our river, we need $20 million to protect the rest of our river. I just met somebody who spent $20 million putting in a new cafeteria at their company. And I was like, easy. So this money's out there.
Here's the check.
So here's some chairs and a counter and a few Coke machines and a roof, and it's $20 million right there. We could save. I mean, we're already protecting land that's half the size of Singapore. It's 9 Manhattan Islands.
One less building in New York could make a big difference.
There you go.
Yeah. Make a huge fucking difference. You've talked about before how you don't know where the percentage cutoff is, meaning you don't know when it gets to, whether it gets to 30 or 35% or 40, the Amazon cut down, where it's the point of diminishing, like diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we have, I don't want to say halted, but done enough good over the last 3 years to kind of keep things at even just status quo of losing the Amazon? Or are we still statistically losing too many trees?
We're still losing too many trees every year. But again, it can't, you're watching the water slide out of the bucket, and it's like we're slowing it, we're stopping it, but it's still leaking. It's still going. And it's only one bad administration away from being devastated.
Right.
And the thing is, you don't want to go close to that. You don't want to, how close can you go? How many, what is it, rivets can you take out of the wing of an airplane before, you take 1, 2, 3, 100, you're fine. Big plane. And how many does the wing come off?
That's right.
You don't know. We don't know. Someone knows. But with the Amazon, nobody knows, because it's never been done before. And why would you want to push it to that? And so I think that, more and more people are understanding that you need healthy ecosystems for human life to thrive, that these things come standard. They're free. These ecosystem services are free. Life on Earth comes standard with fresh water in the streams. It comes standard with fish in the ocean. There's food everywhere. There's sunlight, there's plants, there's ecosystems. People understand. People start talking about, we should, we're going to go to Mars. Great. It's Bill Maher. I loved Bill Maher's thing about where he goes, fuck Mars. And he's going, he goes, there's things that are not on Mars that are on Earth. One example is air. He's like, you don't understand. We have ecosystems here that create the environment you live in. Without oxygen in the air, that is because of the ecosystems. This doesn't work. And so I think people get very cavalier with their ideas of what's possible. We live on this tiny little crust of the earth. That's it. And that's very, very delicate. And something like a hole in the ozone layer, or you hear that when Krakatoa went off, the global, like the entire globe cooled because of the smoke from Krakatoa. Actually,
When was that?
when was that? I think it was like,
The whole world cooled because of that.
I believe that you can see it. When? Krakatoa? No.
All right, Krakatoa's most famous and catastrophic
1883.
eruption occurred from a series of massive explosions culminating on August 27th, 1883, though activity began in May and ended in October that year, with the final basis causing immense tsunamis and killing tens of thousands in Indonesia. The explosion destroyed over 70% of the island, collapsing it into a caldera. It generated colossal tsunamis, some reaching 120 feet high, leading to over 36,000 deaths, primarily on Java and Sumatra. The eruption ejected vast amounts of ash and gas, causing global climate effects that the sun-colored sunsets and a temporary drop in world temperature. There you go.
Yeah. So like a single volcano affecting global temperature. You talk about something like the Amazon rainforest. That's pretty much the defining feature of our planet. It's like the face of Earth. It's the big, nice green thing as you're coming in. I don't think there's anything more important right now than making sure that we survive this period of adolescence. Everyone's very, very concerned with the future, but it's like until you can show that you can manage the things that you've been given for free.
That's right. Where else in the world, Paul, besides the Amazon, are you most concerned about right now from an environmental perspective?
I mean, any river that has in the U.S., I mean, we've dammed like 97% of the waterways in the U.S. I mean, just think of that. There's millions and millions and millions of waterways, and they all have a dam. And to the point that now, that was 100 years ago, people thought that was a great idea. They're starting to take down the dams now because salmon fisheries, whereas we're at 5% of the amount of salmon that used to be in a river.
5%.
In a lot of rivers, yeah. We've devastated so many animal populations. They've come down to barely viable populations.
Yeah, 5% is crazy.
Where we used to have billions of salmon coming out of these rivers. And so what's more valuable, a dam to make a little bit of electricity, or having salmon that bears and people and the ecosystem can all depend on? The salmon.
Right.
And I think that at this point, it's like even the people that used to be the destroyers are understanding that this is just not, it's not going to work like this.
You weren't kidding, bro. More than 550,000 dams are located in the United States, indicating that nearly every major river in the country has been dammed, diked, or diverted. The National Inventory of Dams lists over 90,000 significant structures, but total dams, including smaller non-federal ones, may exceed 2 million, causing widespread habitat fragmentation.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
How's that really even possible?
It's incredible. There's a documentary that'll make you cry called Damnation. It's an amazing documentary. And it's like they interview all these people that are fighting to protect waterways, and it's like you meet these beautiful. There's a guy who his job is to monitor salmon, and you see him talking about this. He takes you under the water in these clear pools and talks about how these fish come here and how they're just trying to get upriver, and they're trying to they spawn, and their whole life is connected to the river from the sea upwards. And then, as if this wasn't bad enough, as if we didn't dam the rivers that stop the salmon, then you have farmed salmon. In every store, you can get wild caught, you can get farmed salmon. They're genetically engineering the salmon. They're filling them with antibiotics. They're keeping them in pens that are in the ocean. And so then when the farmed salmon get out, what do? They go breed with the wild salmon. And this is catastrophic because a wild animal, I say this every time I eat a piranha or the big paco, which is like the vegetarian piranha in the Amazon. That animal has for millions of years been swimming in those waterways and generations and generations and generations, and that they've been surviving, and it's the strongest of them have been surviving, escaping predators and surviving against the elements and finding food. And so when you have the incredible luck, again, it's almost supernatural to be able to get this fish out of the Amazonian River. Because if somebody brought you to the edge of the river and you didn't have any tools, you were just a human, it's completely impossible. In 15-foot deep water that's racing by at 12 miles an hour, you have zero chance of ever getting this powerful fish out of the river. You never even know how to find it. But if you have a fishing line made from plastic that comes from somewhere else and a piece of metal that comes from somebody else, both that somebody else made for you that you bought, now you have this special thing that you tie to a rope, and then you need a piece of meat from an animal that somebody grew on a farm. So now you have all these things that your society helped you get. And somehow you're able to pull this fish out of the river, and you feel like you did it yourself, but really you had a lot of help. And the incredible sacrament of eating something that came out of a wild river, you are incorporating into your physical system something that has been forming for millions of years. You're taking part in this great natural cycle. And to do that, you have to do that with the deference and respect of this great, great, great story. And so the thing of building a dam across a river and stopping the lives of millions or billions of migratory animals that depend on this river for life and ruining it for future generations is one of the greatest acts of terrorism that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine that when I do leave the jungle where it is wild and where I can drink from the rivers and I come back to the world, I'm horrified by what I see. I mean, even upstate New York, I know where the endangered American eels live, and I actually have gone and seen them.
The endangered American eels.
There's an American eel. They're beautiful. They're bright
Pull this
yellow.
up.
They are beautiful. I go look at them at night in the pools where they live. They come up the Hudson, and they're trying to move up the waterways because they want to go up the streams, and that's where they spawn. They're beautiful. But there's all these dams, and you look just below the dam, all the eels are sitting there. All the eels are just below the dam. They have no way of getting over a 6-foot dam. Stupid concrete 6-foot dam is ruining it for an entire species. It's part of the entire ecosystem. That's part of the Hudson Valley that provides the clean water that goes to New York City. And the reason New York City has clean water is because the Catskills are protected, but the Hudson River is part of that. And so even that, like, who's advocating for the eels? I mean, the fact that there's still sturgeon. I think they found a 13-foot sturgeon in the Hudson River not that long ago. These are dinosaur fish. I mean, these are ancient fish.
Wait, actually, I think I remember that. Yes.
Oh, that
was like,
where it washed up on the side?
Yeah.
And like the cops were out with the lights, and there was this giant fish on the side of the rocks.
Deep's got it. Dude, they're catching fucking bull sharks out here now.
Yeah, well, the water's
right
getting
here.
healthier. And so the wildlife is coming back. I mean, again, look at California. The water is so much cleaner. And so there's more fish. There's elephant seals and sea lions and whales. And it's amazing what happens when you just stop polluting the nature.
Unbelievable,
It's
right?
just amazing.
You would never think.
It's like, man, the tree has been standing there for 150 years. If you just don't cut it over,
Oh, my God.
somehow it keeps standing there.
Do we have it, Deep?
They found this one in Maine this year too.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Nice.
a big motherfucker.
No, but you type in like New York City sturgeon rocks.
Yeah, I remember
I remember
this.
that one because it was
Yes.
nuts.
That was
Because
out by
everyone's walking by being
Maxwell
like,
Park, I
damn.
Yeah, that was right out by Maxwell Park, right up
Yeah.
here. I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me right. Let's see if Dave can find it. It's not coming up.
Yeah, I know exactly the one
Like,
I think
we all have it in
I think
our minds.
Hoboken Girl had it, like back then on Instagram. I don't know when that would have been though, but it's all good. We know what happened.
We know what happened.
We know
There's
what
a
happened.
big fish on the edge of the city, and everybody was losing their minds.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when you see it out in the middle of nature, but like seeing it like in the Gowanus.
Yeah, right here.
Like a 10-foot fish with spikes coming off of its
Yeah.
back. Like people are
Some
losing their
dude's eating a
minds.
fucking bee alley 3 feet away. Jesus Christ. You know, Paul, now it obviously, like, you're able to have a profile and you go talk about this stuff and you're seeing the fruits of many years of work actually go into helping you do that work and get it way farther. But like we were saying earlier, there were a lot of years there where you were like kind of yelling out and a lot of people wouldn't listen and you couldn't get the proper attention on it. And you were fighting down there to do what you do and you stuck with it. And I always admired that so much because I can't even imagine, like when we met, you'd been down there for like 16 and a half years or something like that. And I tried to think about my life. That was well more than half my life at that point. You know, how did you keep like such a, I don't want to say like upbeat mentality, but how did you keep a day-to-day mentality of focusing on the mission when so much time would pass without any real progress happening despite all of your efforts?
I think that the thing that sent me down to the Amazon in the first place was panic over what I saw happening to the environment. And so when I got there and I discovered that this place was more beautiful and more complex than anything I had ever imagined, reality surpassed my wildest dreams for the first time in my life. And so that place made me happy. It was a selfish thing. And then over the years, it's not that I was upbeat at all. It's that I was running away from the depression of being told that we're living at the end of days and that all the rivers are dammed and all the rivers are polluted and all the species are going extinct. And so as a young person, as a kid, I mean, I remember crying to my parents at night because I was worried about the turtle Lonesome George, who was the last of the Pinto Island Galapagos tortoises, or hearing that elephants are going to go extinct, or the horrible videos they played you at the Bronx Zoo where you hear that sound of the chainsaw like a nightmare and you see the trees going over. And so when I finally got to the rainforest, and it was like in the adventure stories when you know they reach the island where everything's possible and there's these incredible species, these beautiful snakes and rainbows of macaws flying across it. And for a while there was this beautiful play period. There was like the age of innocence where for the first few years it was you have to go 2 years, two days. You'd have to get on the boat and go 2 days from the nearest city to reach this remote research station. There was no one else out there. And you're all alone out in the Amazon surrounded by life. The antithesis to the millions of miles of frigid space, this glowing, beautiful, complex carnival of life all around you at all times. You could jump into the river, you could drink it out of with your hands. And then seeing that get destroyed changes you because the thing you love the most gets annihilated in front of your eyes. And then you come back, and I would come home and go, why isn't everybody freaking out about this? And everybody be worried about whatever was on the news that week. And I go, guys, wait, no, we're losing something that's irreplaceable. And at that time, you're right. I had no platform, no vehicle by which to communicate the destruction I was seeing. And so I just went back and spent more time because I said, maybe my job is to witness the destruction of this great thing. Maybe that's it, is to bear witness to the loss of something beautiful. I mean, that's what Peter Beard was doing in Africa when he saw these, where he wrote The End of the Game, where he just saw this vast wilderness destroyed and sort of domesticated and ruined and denatured. And so I said, maybe this is dark. And so I think actually when people have asked me, what is it that allows you to take some of the risks that you took? And so a lot of the risks that I took, I was able to take because I thought there wasn't much point to it. I figured I was just going to see a lot of bad stuff. And I didn't think I was ever going to have a life that integrated with the world I had come from, like society, New York, America. I had gone to this very, very foreign place, discovered something that altered the chemical composition of my soul. And now I was inherently obligated to protect these animals that had given me so much, that made me feel this feeling of warmth and life and beauty. And then and then it got easier once I realized that if I didn't do it, nobody else was going to. Right. The day that we saw the smoke on the horizon, and JJ said, there has to be somebody we can call to do something about this. And JJ looked upriver and he looked downriver and he goes, do you see anybody? He goes, do you see anybody here? And there's a little bit of there was an attitude there too, where he went, what are you talking about? You still stupid? Or have you been here for a few years? He goes, there's nobody else. There's no help coming. And so he goes, if anybody's going to do anything, you have to figure it out. And I went, he didn't say we have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. And so that's where, Junglekeepers, it's what's so crazy is that right now as we're talking, there's people driving up and down river in boats with the Junglekeepers logo. There's rangers wearing shirts with the Junglekeepers logo. There's 136,000 acres of rainforest protected because people from around the world have joined us in this fight. But what it started out with was just an idea. Two guys standing barefoot with machetes on the side of a river who said, we should just protect this thing. We should be the Junglekeepers. We made it up. And now it's become a movement. Now it's become a book. Now I certainly never thought that it would get to this point. And so now
I did.
after I got to give you credit for that. You did. You'd always sort of pump me up, and you know that there were periods where I was like, man, I'm dying. I mean, all of last year, I would say all of once the Narcos hit, and then all the way through till like September, I would say I was that was probably
life and death. Yeah.
because that was that was dark times. That was like
You know what,
PTSD times.
I think about this like there's moments obviously like anyone's career out there that like stick out to you that you just remember. You can put yourself right back into place. And I remember when we first wrapped filming for the first time in October 2022. And it was funny because you were like, so was that any good? I was like, that was fucking fire. I knew it was going to happen. Yeah. But you were just, you could see it.
Yeah.
You were exhausted. And I remember it came full circle because you and I had a conversation the last night in the Amazon about this. And it was like amazing to see where you were at that point in May 2024. But, you know, I said to you, like, I can see you're fucking tired, but it's about to get a lot better. And then obviously it did. But even in that exhaustion, you were going back in maybe like 2 weeks or something like that. There's still like when we changed the subject and be talking about like when we went to dinner afterwards, like what you were gonna do when you got back. Of course, shit's burning. Like in that way, it's miserable. But like that light, that spark, I think I don't know. From the outside, I think for all those years, that's what kept you going. Like if I were guessing, like you're extremely upset at the destruction. Cynically, you're thinking, am I just here to fucking document this, as you just said? But you are so in your element and in such a beautiful place that is like your life's calling that your efforts to protect it as putrid as, or not putrid, but like as barren as they were for a long time because you couldn't get the support that you wanted. It's like the battle of still doing that. There had to be something exciting in that.
It's just pure love. I mean, you just love. I love seeing these places. I loved exploring these things. I loved expanding my knowledge. And I mean, at this point, you know, I've gotten to see and do things that are far beyond what my wildest dreams would have been. I mean, when I went to the Amazon, I wanted to see the Amazon, just see it, just see the jungle. I never thought I'd get to explore the deepest parts of it. We never thought we'd find. I mean, that's what this book is about. I mean, it's about how, you know, meeting JJ, who unlocked the Amazon for me, finding the biggest anacondas, going on the solos, all these things, and then realizing that we had to protect it, finding your calling. I never thought any of that was possible. I mean, there's the highest peaks that we could see at the beginning are things that we look down on now as quaint and cute. It's like, you know, this.
Keep that perspective though, man. You
got to keep that perspective. But also, again, from the Barefoot Machete days, from the days of the inception of the thought that we could possibly do this, I always tell everybody, okay, so we just got on the field at the World Cup. We could still lose. And if we lose, everything dies. It's not like we get a second shot at it. And so all of this, the 20 years that are in this book, the 20 years that I've put in right now, it's still like, yeah, great. Like, congratulations me that I've gone on a few talk shows. Doesn't mean shit. The fact that more people are coming in, the fact that we're getting a little bit closer to the large donors and the thousands of small donors, getting us past that point where we get the extra. It's $20 million. We got $20 million tomorrow, save the rest of the river. Story over. Then we make a documentary about how we save the wildest place on earth, inspire other people, use that blueprint to save tons of other places. So we're on the cusp of doing something historic. But it doesn't, just because you're at the end of your walk on the high wire doesn't mean you're going to make it. You got to finish it. We do have to finish it. And so I'm very aware of that, where it's like none of this is going to mean anything until it's safe. Because until then, it's all just an idea.
It's well said. Yeah. Who inspires you besides conservationists? We've talked a lot about Jane Goodall. We've talked a lot about Steve Irwin. We've talked a lot about the greats and the people who, for obvious reasons, you look up to. But, you know, over the years, like while you've been down there, are there other people that you're like, God damn, I love this person because they do this, or they think like this, or they talk like that?
I mean, there's definitely people outside of conservation. I don't know. I don't really. I don't lift my head up so much to look. The people that inspire me are the people that I know in real life who are just who are good at it. Whether those are people who are just raising amazing families, or people who are, the people I know who are really good at the art that they do, whatever that may be. I think people who know how to live life well, who are good at the art of living, are the people that I respect the most. There's not many people that I truly, it's not like I have like a mentor or something at this point. I have a team of people. I have a team of people working with me though. That it's not just JJ. It's like me, Mosin, JJ, Stefan, Roy. It's like this team of Avengers of people that everyone's doing a job that nobody else can do. And so there are other conservation projects though, like the all over the world. There's people saving elephants, and there's people working on cheetah populations. There's people trying to free whales from nets. And so I look now, and that's the cool thing. People say social media is toxic. I go on my Instagram. That shit is curated. Every time I go on, all I see is good stuff. All I see is, again, sometimes an elephant got poached, but like last week I was watching somebody remove a snare from an elephant's foot that the elephant would have died if there wasn't people to go tranquilize it and veterinarians to go fix it. And now that elephant's going to live. And it's like, so I see these things happening. I go, okay, it's not just us. We're fighting here, but there's people fighting all over the world.
And they're making progress on the elephant conservation front.
Yeah.
Shit was bleak a decade ago, and now it's better. It's still got ways to
and
go.
And tigers have gone up from, I think, 3,000 to 5,000. Like tigers are going up. And that's good. You're talking about from India through China. Like you're talking about a huge area where Asia, with the population of Asia, they're still managing to get some wins, like to protect the species, set aside to create connectivity through the protected areas. That's tremendous. Yeah. And there's hope to be found in that. We have sturgeon.
Oh, Joe found the sturgeon. Yeah, this was right by Maxwell Park. Going back to this.
That's wild.
It's crazy. It was right there. I walk there like every day. This is where I take calls when I talk to you on the phone.
What the hell's gonna happen? Get out of the way. What was gonna happen?
Get the fuck out of the way. There's 100 million year old fish there. Oh, look at that fucking thing.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's awesome. That is a big...
Right here in Hoboken, people, see?
Why didn't you leave it in the water? Why did you stay?
All right, that's good there, Deef.
I love that there's always that one person. Leave it alone. Shut up, lady.
God.
The cop's like, because it was dead. We didn't want a bum to eat it.
Could you see yourself raising a family in the Amazon someday?
I think it'll always be a half-half thing, especially now that I'm getting, it's more valuable for me to be spreading this message and then the team on the ground doing it. This is just a new development. After 20 years in the Amazon, I think it'll become more of a 50-50 thing.
Right.
My kids will grow up in the Amazon, 100%.
They're going to be savages.
They're going to be disgusting. They're going to know they're going to have the callus off their feet by the time they're 3 years old. I'm going to start them off on bullet ant stings. Just let them learn.
You're going to put bullet ants on them.
Well, I want them to learn. I mean, the babies that like JJ's family, like, his brothers are constantly having babies, and there'd be like a 1.5-year-old sitting right there, and they hold up their arms and a wasp lands here, and then they put their arm down, a wasp stings them, and so these babies were getting stung by wasps like 5 times a day. And you watch them as they grow up, and the first few times they cry, you see the same kid 6 months later, and he gets stung by a bee, and he's like, whatever. Savage. They just don't care. So the jungle makes you tough. I mean, I have pictures of this 5-year-old. We turned a gold miner into a ecotourism operator, which was an amazing story.
Love it.
But his kid at like 5 years old, he was great with a machete, but he would also use this huge kitchen knife, and he knew how to keep his fingers away from the piranhas' mouths, and he would work with a bucket of piranhas, and he'd get all the scales off them and cut them down the belly and remove the guts. And this kid was an expert with a knife and handling fish that could remove the tips of his fingers. 5 years old. And so, yeah, of course, the jungle.
Different.
No. And so I would definitely want my kids to be, have a little bit of that.
Yeah, we got to evolutionarily study the Paul Rosolie spawn.
Yeah, they're going to have wide feet from walking barefoot. I mean, I see parents helicopter parenting, and every time I'm babysitting, It's always, do you want to climb that tree? I'll be here if you fall. I will catch you. We're going to have responsible adventures, but you're going to try it.
Yeah, I got good hands.
Yeah, I got
Oh
great
my
hands. I can
God.
catch a football.
Just keep them away from the uncontacted tribes. We got to get to that now. We haven't talked about that yet today. Like, don't let those, if there's little Rosolies running around, don't take your chances with 300 fucking yard, 7-foot arrows. That's next level.
That is next level.
Yeah, so you obviously have gone public with this video you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
If you just pull up Paul's Instagram again, it's in the last 25, 30 posts or so. But this tribe is the original one we talked about the first time we were together, the Mascho Piro tribe.
Yeah.
Just for people out there who are unfamiliar with the background, are we talking about a tribe here? When we say uncontacted tribe, obviously they're not a part of society, but how... Are these like pre-Stone Age kind of people?
Again, if you think about the fact that the Egyptian Empire was 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, and the Stone Age was something like 3 million years ago. These people are pre-Stone Age. They're in the bamboo age. And there's certain anthropologists that get incredibly upset when you say that because they go, no, they're modern people. They have their own technology. But there's also a lot of anthropologists that just acknowledge it. There's tribes all over the Amazon that have way more sophisticated societies where they have traditions and they have carved out boats and they have more complex societies. These are still living a nomadic hunter-gatherer life, which is why they've been so hard to understand. And for the first 20 years that I worked in the Amazon, this was always a mythic thing. When I wrote Mother of God, where I'd been out on the solo and I caught a glimpse of them across the river, I ran for days and I knew for a fact that nobody believed me. I just could see it on people's faces. I would tell that story and people would be like, yeah, okay, sure.
Where
Deep in the forest. I had gone 10 days deep into the most remote part of the forest because I was trying to have this incredibly wild experience with the deepest part of the Amazon. Yeah. I wanted to commune with the deepest of the heart of the jungle. And then it turned out that I went so deep that I came out the other side into their territory and they had happened to be moving through the same area. And I saw the smoke and I ran for my life and I left them alone. Now on this day.
You saw the smoke.
From their fire. On this day. The thing that makes it historic is that they contacted us.
Wait, what? What's the context here? How did that go down?
We work with the indigenous communities now that are inside the Junglekeepers Reserve. A lot of the people in the indigenous communities that are our friends, our boat drivers, our guides, our rangers, they live in the indigenous communities. They fish out of the rivers. They hunt monkeys.
They hunt monkeys.
Yeah, of course. That's what they eat.
Damn it.
And so... No. I mean, again, you can't.
I've seen the videos.
You can't get mad at us for eating deer. They like monkeys. There's lots of monkeys. We got word that the Mascho Piro were going to come out of the forest.
Are they like very close to the Brazilian border? Is that where we're talking? Or
we're talking about the southeast of Peru. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but the indigenous community said to us, "You as directors." They said, you as our neighbors who want to help us protect this watershed, you need to be here for this because we are sick of being attacked by these people.
Wait, the Mascho Piro were attacking?
The Mascho Piro come out and do raids. They want children, women, crops, whatever they can guess. They do raids.
When was the last raid?
I think in 2013, they came out and they sacked the village. The men were all fishing. It was like a holiday, and the men had all gone out of the village fishing, and the Mascho came in and they surrounded the village. They corralled all the women and children into one hut, and so everyone assumed they were going to burn it. And then they were all in there crying as these naked male warriors walked around the village, and they cut up the beds, stole the machetes, took a few pots, and murdered every animal that was in the village.
But not the people.
They actually left the people living. That day.
How many of them, how deep are they? Like how many people did the Mashcos have?
We don't know. Because from Manu National Park over to our river and down and then over to the Brazilian side, there's a few thousand clans of nomadic, uncontacted, you can say voluntarily isolated nomadic people.
So the Mashcos are just one.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I would say I think this is a very accurate word. Voluntarily isolated nomadic people because they are shunning contact with the outside world. The term uncontacted right away leads people to be, well, how uncontacted are they? You know, are they contacted now that you've seen them? It's like, shut up. Who cares? They're very, very, very wild people. And so on this day, they came, and you can see them coming down the beach with the bows out, 7-foot arrows.
How did they? You said that they contacted the indigenous tribe.
The indigenous tribe started seeing footprints on the river. They knew they were coming. They got the sense. They know the jungle. They said, "There's people out there walking barefoot." They start to find an arrow on the side of the river. They go, "They're here. They're around
they
here."
Want you there?
And they said, if they show up, it could become violent. They might have the communication. We don't know. They said, but until you see it, you won't believe it. And they said, so you get here. And
when was this?
This was a little over a year ago.
Okay.
And so we ended up there, and you see in the video, they come with the bows out. You see them walking very cautiously, looking at us, pointing at us, scoping us out. And for everyone that you saw on the beach, there was 10 more in the forest, in the shadows, tracking us with arrows.
So when you say in the forest, I'm seeing, is
off
that river
right.
behind them?
That's a river behind them, but this is because it's at the bend of a river.
Right.
So off to the right is forest.
And so where are you guys?
We're on one side of the river, they're on the other side of the river. And so they came out, and the local indigenous anthropologists, again, we're just there as observers. We're there as directors because the indigenous people want help dealing with this problem that they have, that they share territory with this tribe that has no rules. This tribe will take your crops. This tribe will take you or kill you. It doesn't matter. They don't have the same rules that we have.
What language do they speak?
I mean, some derivation of Yine. And so they actually, it seems like they call themselves the Nomole. So Mascho Piro means the wild Piro. And so that's what the people in the countryside called them. But it seems like when they came to the edge of the river, after we convinced them to put down their bows, they held up their hands and they said, Nomole, which is brothers. So they said Nomole, and we said Nomole. And everybody kept saying Nomole back and forth across the river. And it was this acknowledgement of like, we are brothers, we are brothers. But they were scared to put down their bows and arrows, which means, you know, many of the theories with the uncontacted tribes, some people say they've been out there for thousands of years. And other people will say they haven't always been this wild, that these are splinter factions of tribes that got scared during the rubber boom when people went down to get rubber, and they just decimated the local populations. And so that's part of the reason they're living such basic lives with this minimalist technology where they just have bamboo and rope, because they used to be part of larger groups and clans and societies, and then they got split off. So whether they've been out there for hundreds or thousands of years, or whether they've just been out there for a century, it's not really relevant. The point is they're extremely wild people that speak a language that almost no one else speaks. And we know nothing about how they reproduce, where they reproduce, what they do with their old people, what their creation myths are. We know a little bit about what they eat because we find turtle shells and monkey skulls next to their fires on the beaches. We know that on trails, if they leave an X made out of sticks, you don't walk down that trail if you want to continue to breathe, because they will fire an arrow through you. And I say fire an arrow through you because a lot of their arrows are so long, the 7-foot arrows, that when it goes through you, it will pass completely through you.
Yeah.
And so you'll just feel the impact. You'll have a machete-sized cut going straight through your body. And so you have a few seconds before you bleed to death.
So are they leaving the X to tell you not to be there, or is that their X because they're hunting back there, and if you go in there?
They're telling you this, don't go further. This is our territory. So people have disrespected that and wound up dead. The New York Post reported on it, I think in 2024, in August or September, that 2 loggers were killed. At least 2 loggers were killed by the Mascho Piro. It was like global news because their bodies were found. But for everything that makes the news, there's 20 other things, of course, or 50 other things, incidents that happen out past the scope of what anybody's ever going to see, and it just decomposes out there. One of the things on sort of the backwoods WhatsApp network was a few years ago, my friend turned to me and he goes, yo, the Mashco's got some loggers. And I went, where? And he goes, up on the river. And he showed me his phone, and it was just pictures of the loggers that other fishermen had found. And the loggers just had arrows sticking out of them. And they were bloated from days of being on the edge of the river. And all the vultures had picked out their eyes. And you could see half of their skull. And it was like, it was just the most terrifying thing in the world. I mean, even though they were loggers, they shouldn't have been there. They were told not to go there. And the boogeyman got them.
When you have this moment of contact, though,
Yeah.
with them, so you said there's the river between you guys. How far away did you say it was again?
I mean, at
Them
this
to you?
point, they're about 100 meters away.
So they're in range. Okay.
They're in range.
When they first of all, who's everyone that's there with you, and how many of the
entire
indigenous
community, which is probably like 35 people at this point,
Okay.
because they evac'd a bunch of people. We have an indigenous anthropologist with us, someone that has communicated with uncontacted Mascho Piro groups before. He lives out there. JJ had introduced him to me years ago.
What's his name?
Rommel. JJ had been like, this guy is incredible. He actually one time communicated with those people. And he was like, this man is the leading expert on these people.
He speaks their language?
He speaks the Yine, which is the closest to what they, so it's like when I go to Italy, I can speak Spanish and kind of get by. I can speak Spanish and we can get there.
Got it.
And quanto cuesta? And they're like, sí, and grazie. And like, okay, cool. We get there a little bit. And they're like, I understand a little bit of Spanish. It's close enough. They do that. But as these people came out, he said, I've never seen any of them. He said, this is a completely new tribe. He said, this is first contact. These people are coming out of the jungle and whatever they want, this is the first time they're seeing the outside world. And so we're standing on the beach and he was the one standing out in the front in the river, up to his waist, hands up, saying, I am not a threat. No mole, brothers. I do not want violence. Please put down your weapons. And he's saying this in a language that half translates, but they listened and they put down their weapons. So we're all standing there. And it's me and the other two directors, Mosin and Stefan, who are both professional photographers. And here's the other thing. All this footage is shot by them, by the way.
We're going to look at the footage in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I want you to continue, though.
Wherever I go, everyone keeps saying Paul Rosolie. Paul Rosolie's talking about it. Paul Rosolie wrote about it, but it's not Mosin and Stefan, both professional photographers on my team and directors of Junglekeepers, were the ones on either side of me shooting this with photos and video. And what we knew was that, if you Google uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, my whole life, I had always done that, and everything you see is looks like Bigfoot footage. It's blurry. It's from far away. Yep. It was crappy. It's unclear. This is the first time in history that we are getting a view into what it was like when people were living in the Stone Age. It's like an aperture back in time. And these people have been stuck in a time capsule because they've been living this life in the jungle where they don't even know that there's parts of the world that aren't jungle. They may not even know that water, they certainly have never seen water freeze, because they live in the jungle, so they don't know about ice. They only know about metal because they've stolen machetes from loggers. They do have, one thing that we discovered is that they do have some paracord. So they've either found it on the side of the river or they've gone and raided loggers. They do have some modern rope that they've managed to steal. But I've been in villages where you're sleeping in a little thatched hut and in the night the dogs start to bark. And you're in a village that's way out in the jungle. Like deep, deep jungle. And you're in this tiny little village. And around you is just this ocean of green jungle. And at night, the dogs start to bark. And, in this country, people have dogs as pets and they treat them like one of the family. And out there, dogs are an alarm system. That's why you have dogs. And the dogs start to bark in the middle of the night. And then we were missing shirts in the morning off the clothesline. And there was bare feet tracks on the ground. And so the tribe comes and walks through the village in the night, which, if you think about getting up, if you get up in the middle of the night, there's no indoor bathrooms. You're in a village. You have to walk outside. Piss off
the side. Right.
And go piss in the grass. And so every time you wake up in the night and walk outside, you run the risk of shining your flashlight onto a 6-foot-tall person with a face painted red, whose first reaction is going to be to shoot you so you don't make noise. So he's going to shoot you right in the neck.
I took a lot of pisses off the side
when
I was there. Now I'm thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we were scared.
So how did the one part I'm still unclear on? I couldn't really tell. They knew that they were coming because they had seen the footprints, and so they say, "You guys got to be here." And then Rommel goes out into the middle of the river and does this to signal.
Yeah.
But how did you know, that day at that time they were?
No, we didn't know that day at that time. We had gotten to the village and it had been days. It had been 2 days that we were waiting there. And then, we said, look, we have a lot of stuff to do. We have land that we have to protect. We have office work to do. I was like, I have to. And we were like, we got to go. And they kept saying, please stay. They said, do not leave. And then I was actually sitting there writing the chapters of this book. I was sitting there just working on the book on my laptop in the middle of the community, in the middle of the Amazon. And they all started screaming Mashko, and everyone started lifting kids and putting them away, and chickens were going crazy and dogs were barking. And then we looked across the beach and we saw this, and it was just everyone was running. I mean, you just heard people loading shotguns, getting ready, because you don't know if this is going to be a friendly encounter and they're going to want to talk about things, or if this is going to be a massacre.
So
you have no idea.
Rommel goes out into the middle of the river.
Yeah.
How long of a process is it from him going like this to him backing off and then them walking over to where we're going to see them?
He went out into the first third of the river, and this is the dry season, so the river is very, very low. You really could walk across the entire river. You could, in fact. And then gradually they came. Slowly they put down their bows. They came to the edge of the river, and then they all huddled up, and they were pointing at us, and they're looking at us. And then we realized also that we couldn't have the big cameras up. Mosa and Stefan were shooting on professional cameras with like 800.
Do they even know what? They don't know what
they
that is.
don't. And so they were actually saying chichiksu. They're saying, you have guns on us, even though we didn't have guns on it. It was the cameras. Right. So we had to put down the cameras because they didn't know what a camera is, but they know what a gun is.
They do know what a gun is.
They do know or at least some of them know what a gun is, because the loggers and the narcos have fired on them. And so they are aware that the outside world can pose a danger. And so then what you can see in the video is that then when he was out there, the other people present prepared a boat covered in plantains, and the first thing we did was push it across and give them an offering. And so Rommel walked it out, pushed it to them, and then that's when you see them rush across the river and grab those plantains. And the terrifying thing was that it wasn't like they were going to share them. You can see them in the video pulling, and mine are mine, and his are his, and that's it. Mm. And so it makes you wonder what kind of society or ranking they have within their own culture. Because
Paul, were you able to make eye contact with them?
Yeah.
Like, and it's close enough that you both can understand you're looking into each other's peoples?
Oh yeah. No, and there was at first, the first 2 hours were very tense.
2 hours.
Oh yeah, they were there communicating for long, because they got one thing of bananas and they wanted more bananas. They wanted more plantains, and then they got a load of sugar cane, and then they were like, well, while you're at it, give us some rope. And the community's being friendly. They're going, well, you can have more bananas, you can have more sugar cane, you can have some rope. And then at some point, Rommel's standing out in the middle of the river, and they point at him, and they were like, give us your shirt. And so he takes off his shirt and he hands them the shirt. And they're like, well, we'll take the pants too. And he's like, well, sure, why not? And he gives them the pants. And then they come forward with this incredible necklace. And they gave him a necklace that they put over how did they give it to him? Somehow they gave him a necklace. Now, again, at this point, I'm running around. We're either taking pictures, talking to different people, staying behind trees. At some point became aware though, that they had given him a necklace in exchange for he never physically touched them though. He always had a boat length between him, and he would keep the boat in such a way that if anybody did raise an arrow, that he could kind of go under the boat and protect himself. There was a little bit of strategic
for 2
protection
seconds,
there,
right?
for 2 seconds, or at least he could like float down river. I mean, the boat's pretty big, right? So, but again, an arrow cuts through the river. He kept the boat in between. The other thing is you don't want physical contact with people that are living this wild out in the rainforest, because they don't have any immunity built up to outside pathogens, right. And so they could be very devastated by the common cold. And so Rommel knows this and was being careful of this. And yes, we were close enough that after the first 2 hours, after we'd given them everything we could give them, they started right away on the beach. They started breaking down. We have lots more footage than what we were able to release. We worked with anthropologists and ethicists and the Peruvian government to make sure that we were doing best practices, that everybody understood that we did not contact them. They came out and presented themselves and had questions to us.
What did the government say about?
Government doesn't know what to say. Government hardly believes it's true.
And then they see the footage.
And then they see the footage and they go, well, we want to understand what's going on here. And of course, because I'm not a Peruvian, they're interested in, is this being done in an ethical way? And that's why the book is so important, because it's like it takes people through the exact story and the context and why this happened, because this is such a historical thing. Never before has there been HD footage of an encounter from the uncontacted tribes coming out to the modern world. And this type of exchange where they were asking, why are you cutting down our forests? Where they're asking, why do you cut our ancient trees? They're asking who are the good guys and the bad guys, and how do we tell the difference? They're scared.
They're asking Rommel all this stuff. What's he saying?
He was answering them as best he could. And then, of course, they just wanted more and more and more plantains. And so we literally gave them all of the plantains that the community had, which is their main source of carbohydrates. So they gave them all of their food. And of course, as you know, I said, just keep going. As Junglekeepers, I was just like, we'll call back and dispatch a boat. We'll make sure you guys have food. Give these poor people food. And then, do you remember who Ignacio is? The guy that got shot in the head with the arrow.
Yes.
He's this guy,
Yes, he's got the big scar. Yep.
He's got the big scar. So he had previously been shot by the Mascho Piro
Same tribe.
in 2019. Not the exact
and he
same
swam
tribe.
away, right?
Yeah.
That
So
was
that's
the whole
the
thing.
scar on his face like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, yeah,
You
that
can see
scar.
it there.
Move your ring finger up a little bit. You got it right up. Nope. Up. There you go. But yeah, he was there, and then he looked at Rommel and he took off he showed his shirt and he was like, "Can I?" And I watched them do this, and he looked at me and he was like, and I was like, I don't. I was like, he's the boss. I don't care. And then he took off his Junglekeeper shirt and he threw it to Rommel, and then Rommel was holding the Junglekeeper shirt, and the tribe was like, "Come on, give it over." And so then Rommel throws the Junglekeeper shirt and it lands in the water, and they grab it and they throw it over their shoulder. And then as the day ended, a few things happened. One guy walked up, picks up his bow and arrow, and they're all starting to leave now. They all have piles of bananas on their back, and he shot one arrow in our direction across the river, landed in the sand. And he just smiled at us.
This is such a long period of time.
3 hours at least, maybe more.
Are you scared?
In the beginning, we were very scared. In the beginning, we were going, what's going to happen? Is this going to turn into a massacre? What if somebody fires a gun? What if somebody fires the arrows? What if this... And then it became known that we were having a communication, that they were talking to them, and that this community was saying, "We are your brothers. You don't have to be scared of us. We'll give you whatever you need." And the tribe was saying, God knows what. They all speak at the same time. They're like a flock of parrots. They're all speaking at the same time.
They speak at the same time.
They all speak at the same time. It wasn't like there was quiet and one man would speak. They all were speaking at the same time. There was a cacophony of voices at all times. So for us watching, we would say, what are they saying?
When they speak, are they speaking with their hands a lot too?
They're speaking with their hands a lot. A lot of them were doing this thing where they put their finger under their nose. I don't know what that means. They all seem to have the same haircut. There's some, and then some of them are carrying this large necklace that seems to be made out of Brazil nuts, and it has teeth all around it. And two of them were carrying the same necklace, and it was made the exact same way. It seemed to have like half of a Brazil nut, and then this part would be all teeth coming out, straight out like this. And then the other side looked exactly the same as this side. But what I'm thinking is that
Hold that up a little bit, just so people can see.
So this is almost a perfect representation of it, except more round, where they had probably a piece of Brazil nut and then some piece of leather or something that had looked like caiman teeth, all stuck into there. And then on the other side was the same as this. So it would be and they were wearing that as a necklace. And it's a huge necklace. It was a big ball, the size of a softball, and they were wearing it, and they made sure to never get it wet, which makes me think that it was probably smoldering embers so that they don't have to make a fire from scratch every time.
Smoldering embers
Yeah.
on the...
So that's a picture of the necklace. Look at that.
Holy shit.
Right,
that's like Flava Flav's clock.
That's like some Indiana Jones shit.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like from the... Deep. Can we
Yeah.
see it clear?
That's nice. That's nice and clear. Yeah, and that's the moment that they rushed across, and we're getting at the plantains. But that thing right there, I don't understand. This right here is the moment that he shot the arrow across at us. So, that's the thing. Back in the old days, there's a lot of stories where people are like, oh, that sounds like it never happened. It's like, well, we happen to have two professional photographers there, so it's all caught on video and camera. There's a lot of footage that we haven't released yet. We released like 2 minutes of footage of hours of this interaction because we're saving it for the documentary, of course.
Yeah,
but
as you should. But
as we
still.
should, and also we were very, very conflicted about whether or not we should release this footage, because we said, are people going to understand this? Are people going to think that this tribe is, noble savages, and we need to be like them, and we should need to go find them and study them? And no, these people have indicated for decades, if not centuries, one single thing, and that is that we want to be left alone. And so the only thing that we can do is protect the forest they live in. And so not only is Junglekeepers protecting 130,000 acres, and not only is Junglekeepers doing that with the leadership of the indigenous people and then through the help of people around the world, but we're protecting this incredibly pristine ecosystem where if you imagine a football field, think of a football field and how tremendous it is if you just take a handful of coins and sprinkle it across the field.
Mm-hmm.
In about that much area, you have these tiny clans of people surviving in this vast, vast, vast wilderness that is the whole 300,000 acres that we're trying to protect. And so most of it is pristine, untouched jungle with just wildlife. And then living out there is this tiny population of indigenous people. And when you think of what happened to the Comanches and the Navajo and the Iroquois and the Cherokees, all of these indigenous cultures that were devastated in the last several hundred years, this is a chance to take history and change the narrative where we actually just protect their environment and leave them alone. And if they want to contact the next closest tribe, the indigenous communities that we work with, if they want to learn how to plant bananas and maybe they think it's fine, but that's none of our business.
Right.
The thing that they've asked for, the way that we respect them is all we have to do is leave the jungle alone. And this tribe remains safe. And so for the sake of the animals and the heartbeats and the ancient trees and the undiscovered medicines and the uncontacted tribes, that is why I am on this mission to protect this river now.
When he went to shoot that arrow, you didn't shit yourself, though? I can't. get my
No,
mind
the
off
way
that.
he did it, he walked out with a swagger and a smile, and he walked right up to the edge of the beach, and he held the bow nice and high. He made it clear he wasn't aiming at anybody, fired off the arrow, and then took a big smile at everybody and was like, what are you going to do about that?
And then how did they leave it? Did they back away like looking at you, or
No,
did they turn
no, they
around?
all turned away at that point. One guy had a machete, and we have a great video. My friend is going, "Oh, they have me machete." He's going, "Put down my machete," and which they don't understand Spanish, which is hysterical, but because he's speaking to them in Spanish, but it didn't matter what language he was speaking in. He was going, "Hey," and yelling at the guy, and the guy had a machete, and he just looked back over his shoulder and was like, "Yo, come over here and get it. How about that?" And even then, they were smiling. They were like, "Yeah, you want to come get it?" No.
Isn't that amazing?
That
People-
across culture and language and 1,000-year gap,
A lot more than that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
but that we could still, or like,
There's human.
yeah. And then there was moments where, towards the end, they were all spread out on various parts of the beach and we were all spread out and everybody gotten comfortable by then. And, like Ignacio raised his hand and went like this, and they would raise their hand and go like this. And then, he did like a little, he like kicked his foot and like did like a little dancing, and they do the same thing. And we were all just like, we started playing with each other.
That's amazing.
I raised my hands like this and they'd raise their hands like this. And it was just kind of like both tribes, shirts versus skins. Both tribes were like, this is wild. Like, cause they were them too. They're going,
Yeah.
okay, these people this is interesting, and we're over there thinking, if a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex walked out of the jungle behind them, I wouldn't have been more shocked. This is the uncontacted tribes and they're in front of us.
Yeah.
This is something that, you hear about people, someone's brother, uncle, cousin, whatever, in the jungle saw a glimpse of them. I'd caught a glimpse of them. But the fact that they came out and asked us what's going on. We want an update on why our forest is disappearing. The fact that and then like the odds, I know I've been there 20 years, but the human odds of being there for something like this. And it happened at the perfect time because, the global news of this happening has helped with the launch of the book, and the book, it helps explain this to everybody, and it's getting in front of more readers. And so everything has sort of come together at the perfect time, just like me going to the Amazon and I met JJ at the perfect time. And so it's like, you keep hoping that we keep having that serendipity of just, maybe we came to this river at the perfect time and everyone is going to swell and that enough people are going to hear about this, that we are going to protect it. And if we can do that, I think that the hope shockwave we're in the hope business now, and the amount of excitement and the sense of accomplishment that can be said that this wasn't done by some wild institution or some out of touch scientists. This was done by the people because this place should be protected. And I think that's what makes this so exciting.
When you were, I just can't get over like what it must be like when you actually come upon them and they recognize you and you recognize them, even though you're literally from different time zones. When you are having that moment, I don't know how long it is, where you are eye contact, eye to eye with this other person right here. Like from a human perspective, like, was that one of those things where time kind of stops and you realize, like you talk about the laughing and all that, and you see the humanity in those things as the time goes on, but when you're first just eye to eye staring at each other, like, what is it? Can you describe that feeling?
No, that's why I write, because I can't put it into words. You have to spend the time to try and get it out of yourself and onto the page, and you try and explain to someone some semblance of it. And that's the beautiful thing about writing, is you can when you read, you're sort of magically inside someone else's brain. And as a writer, that's your job, is to take that moment. And in that moment that they were shooting, they had their cameras out and they're shooting video and they're shooting photos and they're making sure they get everything and documenting. I literally was sitting there with my eyes open going, as a writer, I need to drink in every moment of this. I'm holding on to the tree and pinching myself going, this is fun. This is real. And so all of those moments, the moment that they left, I was like, bang, notebook is open, just everything, just downloading everything that was coming out of me. And then there's a video of me from the following day as we're going downriver. I literally have the laptop open because I was like, this is too insane. I was like, the first draft is just going to come out. And it's like, I have no shirt on. I have noise canceling AirPods in, no roof on the canoe for 9 hours downriver. And I'm just typing on a MacBook Air. I'm just like, this has to come straight out of my brain to fingertips into this, because it had to come fresh. That was the wildest thing. And the thing that I always think with this, anytime I get something that means a lot, and that could, again, it can be an amazing day of fun with friends, or something historic like this, where you go, I kind of love the next day, because you go, it happened. Adrenaline. No, but also that, because now that it's happened and it's over, it can't be taken away. I remember the first time I caught a big anaconda, and I kept that classic picture of me and JJ with the anaconda over us. And I kept turning on my camera, even though at that time I had no way to recharge my camera. I kept turning it back on, and I kept going back and looking, because I was like, this was so incredible that I would go, I hope it was real. And I'd just think that up, and I'd go back and check, and I'd be like, wow, look at that snake. And when this happened, I woke up the next day and turned to my friends and went, that did happen, right? Like, that didn't just dream that. And they were like, no, yeah. And we had arrows at that point. There was arrows that they had, we'd found multiple different arrows.
Did you put a picture of the arrows in here?
There must be a picture of the arrows in there. I don't know.
I mean, they've been,
that's his bow.
He's holding it.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I want to see that. I remember that video right there.
Yeah,
I can't show that one on camera. All right, let's play the video, because we haven't done it yet, Deef, and we got to make a note, just because there's some nudity in here. We got to
you got to
bleeps over that area on the post edit.
You have to bleep out the balls.
But let's take a look at this for people who have not seen it. Okay, is there sound on it? So they're like they're pointing at you. Oh my god.
Yeah, Bowie. In
How tall are they? Like 5'6", 5'7"?
They were pretty tall. They're taller than look.
They're getting plantains.
No, but listen to them as they go.
And that's Rommel.
Interestingly, that's not. This was the second boat. That was a different guy. But see how they are rushing.
Yeah, the ones in the back, what's he holding? Who's bent over right there? See him holding that thing?
No.
Do you know what that is?
I'm not sure. I can't tell from this video.
Is this when they're about to leave?
This is them moving up off the beach, and you can see people carrying little backpacks, and you see there's still arrows and stuff stuck in the beach, and so the community goes and collects those things. They have a little collection of artifacts.
That's dude. Like you said, the next day you're feeling it, but in that moment you're totally aware you're living through insane history.
Yeah. Oh yeah. in that moment. And it was good that it was 3 hours. It wasn't like a 10-minute thing. It wasn't a 5-second thing.
That's unreal.
With wildlife encounters, I'm very used to, you see a jaguar, you draw one breath and the jaguar vanishes back into the forest. And you're like, God, that was incredible. But it was so fleeting. This was like for hours we were there. There was multiple layers to this. There was moments of communication. There was moments of beauty, moments of fear. There was so many questions that we have unanswered. And then they went back out into the jungle.
And there's 1,000 more tribes like that down in their area that we've never seen.
That we've never
no
seen.
contact. Some of the indigenous tribes who do have contact, though, they have contacted those other tribes too? Or?
They have limited contact with them, but even they're scared to do that because there was a guy by Manu National Park who did kind of befriend them for a while. And he started leaving them bananas, and he left them some shirts, and time went on, and he would talk to them. And then one day they found him porcupined, arrows sticking up, him laying flat, and no one knows why.
That was the first intro I ever edited for 124.
Yeah.
If people want to hear that story, it still hits so hard these days.
And it just sucks because it's so scary because you go, he did everything right.
Yep.
He only wanted good for them. He only wanted to help them. So
didn't work out.
Yeah.
You come any closer to finding those fucking pyramids?
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to. Wait a minute. You can't just say that.
Oh, I certainly can. I got a hard out at 5 o'clock,
wait
and we're
a
not
minute.
talking about the fucking pyramids.
You can't just say. You have found something.
And then he dropped both of them and left the room.
No, hold on.
Give me the hard drive.
Have you found something?
There's nothing that we found. There's nothing. There's nothing there. We
Will
looked.
you
We
blink
checked.
twice and tell me off camera?
I would be remiss if I wasn't honest with my best Hoboken friend.
That's a shot in the fucking bow. God damn.
There's no pyramids that we know about down there. I mean, the Amazon, as our dear scientist colleagues have made public, there's more geoliths in the Amazon than we previously thought.
But that doesn't mean the Amazon's man-made, people.
But that doesn't in any way mean the Amazon is man-made, and every person that says that needs to be slapped in the face. The Amazon is formed in 30 something million years ago, if not 55 million years ago, in the Eocene, and has been developing since then. And the fact that there's a couple of bits of terra preta and some earth sculpting under the forest does not mean that the whole thing was man-made. So,
do you think El Dorado's still out there somewhere?
I don't think the El Dorado was ever out there ever. I can't believe that those dumb motherfuckers went looking for it and killed themselves over it. I mean, really? They're like, the fuck Percy Fawcett and all the other conquistadors who showed up, and they were just like, you have entire civilizations of people that came out to meet you and give you textiles and food and clothing, and they were so friendly that all of their original, if you go back and read Pizarro's original journals, they were friendly, the people, when they showed up. If you read Columbus's journals, where he says, I'll give a gift to the first person that sees land, and the men were having an argument over who saw it first, and he goes, I told them, screw them, and I gave the gift to myself. And then the first person that they found, they caught, hauled him on board and started interrogating him, asking him about gold. And of course, he didn't speak their language, so he didn't understand what gold was. And they're like showing him, and they're like, it was like Sam Jackson interrogating the guy in the beginning of Pulp Fiction. English, motherfucker, do you speak it? And they're like, you got a piece of gold.
God damn it. It's out there, though. I'm telling you, it's out there.
The Golden City? Come on, grow up.
The remnants of it or somewhere. They're going to use LiDAR. They're going to find it.
No.
Graham Hancock will find it. That's
Good.
what'll
I
happen.
hope he finds it. He should go find it.
That's right. I love that thumbnail you sent me. That was very good. And I took that personally. That's good.
Yeah.
Paul Rosolie, it's always a pleasure, brother. I'm really proud of all the work you're doing. Congratulations on having a #1 New York Times bestseller. I'm not surprised at all. Can't wait for the next book already.
Yeah.
And I also can't wait to go down there again.
Yeah, you got to
Visit
get back down there, man. Dude.
Fuck yeah. All right,
you.
brother. We'll do it again soon. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.